1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I think we're underestimating what's at stake for the Kansas City Chiefs this upcoming season. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're so happy to be with you on this Tuesday morning. And, you know, it took all people, Bill Belichick, who is now a member of the media. Perloff, he's doing weekly appearances on the Pat McAfee show. And the conversation turned to the Chiefs. And if anyone knows how hard it is to three-peat, it's going to be Bill Belichick. So, Nick, can we hear cut 2, please? Here's Belichick and his thoughts on the three-peat.
I just think it's going to be tough this year. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I just think this third year, for it all to fall into place 3 years in a row is tough. I think if anybody can do it, it's probably Kansas City. But it won't be easy. It won't be easy.
And he's right about that, Pro, because I think that we see the brilliance of Mahomes. We understand the, genius of Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo getting his flowers as a defensive coordinator, and we think, oh, no, they could do it. This is going to be extremely hard for them to do.
So just I want to make this all clear. So the greatest mind in football history has to tell us that it won't be easy to three-peat. But if anybody can do it, it's Kansas City. Okay. This is just, no duh. No duh, no duh. That's not a take. There's no take there. That it's easy it's going to be hard to three-peat. We all know that. But if he then he goes in. So Bill Belichick's just a normal media member who is trying to cover both sides.
Honestly, though, I think that there's an idea that if, like he said, if anyone can do it, it can be the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Right. Okay. But I don't think we are pausing to say just how much of a challenge this is going to be. And everyone knows it's hard. It's never been done before. But what the actual challenges are going to be that they face this year and what actually stands in the way. It's not going to be because the coach and the head and the quarterback implode. It's not because of personality conflicts. It's not going to be because one guy wants the shine and the other guy. It's not going to be the other things, I think, that tend to bring a dynasty to its knees. It's not going to be ego, I don't think.
Well, okay, what is it?
Well, then I think it's going to be X's and O's more than anything else, and that's what's crazy to me.
Why'd they lose the Super Bowl in 2020 to Tom Brady?
Offensive line got hurt.
Yeah, they're going to have 3 injuries, and look at the 2 Super Bowls they just won, 38-35 over the Eagles and 25-22 in overtime. A bounce goes here, a bounce goes there. That's another reason it's hard to three-peat. These games have been razor thin. They've been blowing out anybody. So I think Belichick's point is a good one. Like, are they going to stay healthy? That's a huge reason. It's a war of attrition.
It doesn't matter, actually, though, because Mahomes has been on one leg and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but obviously, like they were really healthy last year. I mean, what were the big injuries last year? Not anything.
Well, Kelsey started the season hurt.
Yeah,
I mean that was about it.
Yeah, I think he's talking about health, and I also think that
they lost Joe Tooney, didn't they?
Okay, let's go back to your take on Noah Lyles.
Yeah. That got me in trouble.
He barely won the 100, right?
5 1,000ths of a second, guys.
Right.
You can't call yourself the fastest
man. Do you think
man
he would win that race 3 times in a row if that's his margin of victory?
No.
I think Belichick's point is, they've won, but the rest of the league is obviously right there. Like, they're going to have to get through the playoffs and win a bunch of close games. I mean, honestly, Baltimore could have beaten them last year. Even as badly as Baltimore played, a fumble at the goal line, idiotic taunting penalty. Like, there was a couple things where Baltimore did not give themselves a chance. And then San Francisco should have beaten them. Right. I mean, it was
ball first and
third and 4. So I just think he's looking at like, man, it gets down to like a coin flip randomly. I said about 3 months ago that it's going to be hard to three-peat too. Like, it's just, we all know that you need every bounce to go your way. It's been such a thin margin. And same with the Patriots. I mean, it's very similar to that Patriots team, right? Where they were always hanging around the rim in Jerry Jones terms. But to actually you need like a certain amount of luck to get all the way.
Okay. So with that in mind, we're both of the opinion that this is going to be very hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Even if you love Mahomes and you love Andy Reid and you love Kelsey and you love Chris Jones and all that, it's going to be very, very hard to do. So with that, I ask you this.
Yeah.
If Patrick Mahomes is able to win 3 in a row, does it make him the GOAT? I get that Brady did it over 20 plus years and he has 7 rings, and I understand there's more. But to do something that no one has done in this short amount of time, acknowledging how difficult this is. You and I just talked about it. We just laid it out. Margin for error, health, all this stuff. Don't you have to say he makes a case? I mean, you can't just throw it and dismiss it out of hand. Yeah, Brady will have more. He'll have more titles. But in some ways, it kind of reminds me a little of the LeBron, Michael Jordan thing. So there are people who love LeBron, even though he doesn't have 6 rings, they'll say he's the greatest because he went to more finals and a million reasons. And then there's going to be people who just say, nope, the most rings, 6 rings for Jordan, that means he's the greatest, and maybe he had a better peak or whatever you want to say for the Jordan people. I think we're going to have a similar kind of debate with Brady Mahomes. Say Mahomes doesn't get to 7, but if he has a three-peat in there, I think that's a good enough, like, feather in your cap, a line on your resume, whatever it is, to claim that he's actually the greatest quarterback, because he's also, and I think Brady would even say this, he's actually the more talented athlete. Of course.
Definitely.
Right. So he's got 2 things going for him, a three-peat, which no one has ever done, and he actually is the more talented, like, quarterback.
But in this model for the GOAT debate, that means you're saying if he stops playing, wins the Super Bowl this year and retires, he's the GOAT.
No, I don't know what else he's going to keep adding.
But you can't, like, you're saying if he gets his three-peat,
that gives him the living GOAT. The active GOAT.
No, definitely active GOAT. No, would he be if he won this three-peat and had 4 and retired and be 4 out of 5 in Super Bowls, does that make him the GOAT? Because that's the debate. Because yes, he's definitely going to chase Brady. He's 28. He's got 10 more years of this.
Especially if he gets to 4 this year and a three-peat and another one.
And also, too, is fans, as the next generation of media comes along, they're not even going to remember Tom Brady, and they're definitely going to go Mahomes. But my question is, and I disagree with you on this, a three-peat alone does not make him the GOAT. I think he's got to do more than that.
I don't know.
If he retires at 28 with a three-peat, do you really think all-time list you would put him over Brady?
I think the 2 things, having the three-peat solidified and the 4 and 6 years it would be, and then also being like the guy who throws the no-look pass, the guy who throws the left-handed pass, the guy who is playing on one leg, the guy, like, if Brady had to play on one leg, he'd be toast. There's no way he would have gotten.
What are you talking about? Brady could have played on no legs. The guy moved like 3 inches.
No,
Brady finished the Super Bowl clearly concussed like 6 times. I mean, like, Brady's as tough as all get out. Brady didn't need to move. Why would he need both legs?
I think that because he just would have been a sitting duck. I think that
he was a sitting duck, but he got rid of the ball so fast. But
I think with the three-peat, I think Mahomes is there, and I'm not trying to take away from Brady. Brady struck fear into the heart of everybody for 20 years. They were always had a chance when you had Tom Brady. But I think this sort of peak of Mahomes of what he would accomplish with a three-peat, I think it puts him in there. I do.
Okay. I think he's got to do more, and I think he will do more. I mean, he's so young. Brady, he's got his first Brady run. So, I mean, listen, Brady won 3 in 4 years, and he was barely an all-pro at that point.
Okay, but what do we talk about when we talk about those first couple Super Bowls?
Yeah, the special teams and defense. No, I know. I'm just saying that the three-peat alone, if Patrick Mahomes just fell off a cliff after his three-peat, he's not passing Brady. He's basically there with Montana.
855-212-4227. I don't know. I think it's a little bit, again, like, and not to bring it back to Jordan and LeBron, but one of the things that you always say as a Jordan person is just Jordan at his apex is better than anything, right? Like, it's more dominant than any other player that we've seen.
I mean, maybe Wilt back in the day, but yeah.
But like for this discussion,
definitely.
His apex, wouldn't you have to say that Mahomes is apex?
Oh, yeah.
much better than Brady. And I think
Mahomes is going to pass Brady left-handed by the time he's 35. There's no doubt about it. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
He's just viewed as a better quarterback. But you can't just hang him up after this three-peat and say, oh, I'm done. And I mean, like, God, what if he was afraid of concussions and just shut it down? 4 titles would not get him on the GOAT list. He's got to be closer.
4 and 6 years with a three-peat.
By the way, this whole, it'll never be a Jordan LeBron debate.
Why?
The Jordan LeBron debate has so many layers that go way beyond who's the best player. Like, it's also like LeBron and his politics. Like,
it's an identity thing.
People dislike LeBron for a lot of reasons. Then people think, people have different opinions on Jordan. Also, basketball lends itself so much better to this debate than football.
Because you play defense too.
Yeah. And there's 5 guys on the court.
Right.
One guy has such an influence. I know a quarterback has that kind of influence, and people loved calling Brady the GOAT. But I think like Mahomes is he's like a reincarnation of Brady in a sense. Like, he does like all the right things. He's the ultimate team guy. He's the ultimate leader. It feels like he's a continuation of Brady, where LeBron and Jordan are just different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you'll ever have camps. Am I wrong? Do you think that?
I think you're living in the moment right now.
Yeah.
I do think that we are going to split into camps, because you just mentioned it. The young people today who don't remember 2001 and 2004, like they're not going to remember, even though those were more defense. They're not going to remember those. They weren't alive. So yeah, Mahomes is going to be their GOAT. I think even if he just had 4, but with the three-peat, because they're watching it now and they're seeing him do all these insane things and crazy. It's like, well, what did Brady do? It's like he did every 3rd and 8. Tom Brady found like a slant and Brady was just an assassin and a surgeon. Mahomes is the artist. And that's away from the Jordan LeBron thing. But to me, Mahomes is the artist and Brady was the surgeon. Brady just always did the right play. Mahomes is doing the wow plays and the right plays.
I see. I don't really exactly see it that way. You cannot separate Brady from Belichick and the Patriots and the Patriot way, and which was a big part of Tom Brady was a big part of it.
Yeah.
Where Mahomes is spectacular. Brady won a Super Bowl 13-3.
No, I know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Mahomes
against Sean McVay, Mr. Offensive Genius, scored 3 points in a Super Bowl.
Mahomes did not really do much offensively in this year's playoffs, but generally,
he's. Yeah. We know what he is as a weapon offensively.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like, Tom Brady started out winning Super Bowls because of defense. Then he got really good offensively. Mahomes started off like fire offensively. Now the Chiefs are becoming more of a run defense team.
We'll see this year.
I mean, listen, I still think their strength is like they want to hand the ball off and run a lot more than people think. So anyway, I just think that the styles are different. You're right. Mahomes will ultimately pass him. I do believe that, but you can't cut it off at 28. That would be weird. He's already the GOAT. That's just not going to sound right. You're right. If he does do this three-peat, the debate will start. But I just don't feel the same thing about Mahomes and Brady. I just can't get into it. Like LeBron Jordan, I could sit here for 4 hours and debate it.
Wait till we get a couple documentaries into this thing. Because Brady, by the way, has like quietly done like 3 documentaries about himself, his legacy, the Tom versus Time, all these things. Like, he's protecting it in the same way that Michaels did The Last Dance. And you don't think LeBron, there's probably been a camera crew following him forever. And there should be a camera crew following Patrick Mahomes' every move, because I would watch that.
I can't wait for the next generation of media to come up and show you. And there's going to be somebody who's really good, and they're going to say, oh, he's better than LeBron. And the millennials will just freak out. And you'll be like, what? Did you ever watch LeBron? That's what the Jordan people, it just like blows their mind that you think LeBron James is better. It's just, it doesn't compute. I don't think we'll ever get there with Brady Mahomes. It's more nuanced, but definitely he's 28. This argument, I think, is if he wins a three-peat, is he the GOAT right there?
Yes.
And I think he will not be, because realistically, if he retires at 28, he's not passing Tom Brady with 4 rings. That's just the reality.
Does the three-peat end the debate? I think would be the poll question on X. Would a three-peat end the debate? And again, there's more to it. You're right. Mahomes' talent, all that stuff would play into it as well. I mean, let's hit the phones. You guys are fired up about this. 855-212-4227. George is our pal in L.A. George, sorry for the sideswipe on the Rams Super Bowl there. I know you're a massive Rams fan, but if Mahomes three-peats, would you consider him the GOAT?
Absolutely, because nobody's ever done that. And Mahomes, like Perloff was saying, is just a very unique talent. I remember when Mahomes was at Texas Tech in Lubbock, I had family there, and they said even then he was just special, like Elway was at Stanford. Just, you could just see something in certain people over time. And Brady was magnificent. His brain was magnificent. But Mahomes, to me, is certainly, if he wins another one, is the GOAT, because three in 3 years, three-peat, and it's just amazing, his talent.
Yeah. And the amount of games, you're just like, so many things have to break right. Your peak just has to be so high. And George, thank you for the phone call. And also, let's not pretend that Mahomes isn't doing this in an era of great quarterbacks. I mean, I know Tom Brady doesn't think there's a lot of good quarterback play out there, but I mean, I would respectfully disagree. I mean, Mahomes has had to go through, well, Brady has beaten him in the playoffs, but he's had to go through some really good QBs. I mean, you don't think Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are going to be remembered as great quarterbacks? It's not like he's out there playing the backups.
What if the Arizona Cardinals, or I don't know, give me a team, the Tennessee Titans draft Patrick Mahomes? Is he the GOAT?
I think you and I have talked about this. I think so. I think if he's in Buffalo, they've already won.
1,000% no. If he's not married to Andy Reid early in his career, there's no way he's at 4 Super Bowls. I mean, this is the perfect marriage of coach and player.
Okay, what about Brady, though? Brady doesn't get on the field.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, you separate Andy Reid from this Patrick Mahomes legacy? You probably can, but I can't.
Do you separate Belichick?
No, I don't either.
Okay, so that's the same for both of them.
That's why football is a different GOAT debate, and obviously Joe Montana even more so. Can you separate Bill Walsh from Joe Montana?
No.
So it's a different thing. Tom Brady himself said, if I had been drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, I'd be out of the NFL. So it's like, This is like, you got to consider it's such a team sport that the GOAT debate has a different flavor. But let me get back to one thing. What was so great about Tom Brady? You described him as a surgeon.
Yeah.
I think America still has trouble wrapping their mind around Tom Brady.
It was always the right play. Always the right play.
What the heck does that mean?
I
know what it means, and I agree.
Moments.
But it's like, man, why is that guy great? Oh, because he was on the run and he threw a 50-yard dime. This guy always made the right play. It's the unsexiest way to describe a great player.
Honestly, it's the biggest compliment I could give the guy. It was what did Mike Tomlin call him yesterday? Possession downs. I mean, they just couldn't be stopped on third down. And I know, because he sliced and diced my team for 20 years on third down. And it's almost like hurts more when it's not the wow play, right? Like the wow play from Mahomes, every play gets extended. He's over on the sideline. He's left-hand passing. He's no-look passing. You're like, man, I just can't beat that. With Brady, it's a 5-yard slant to Julian Edelman 1,000 times.
Yeah. Which is not exciting, and that kind of weakens his GOAT argument.
It's a 10-yard out route to Wes Welker. I mean, I know when Randy Moss got there, it looked a little bit different, but it was just always the right play. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I know, but that's funny. It's like, that's going to kill him in the GOAT argument, what you just said. Nobody who didn't watch it, who wasn't there, is going to be like, wait, he knew how to check into a run play? Like, what the heck is that? The reality
Surgeon versus the
I think
artist.
his most famous pass, arguably, is that screen pass to Kevin Falk in the first Super Bowl. Like, that's Tom Brady. Where Mahomes, what's his most famous pass? Probably yesterday in preseason, where he went behind the back to Travis Kelce. Like the interesting thing about this GOAT debate is the level of spectacular for Patrick Mahomes and the level of boringness you just described for Tom Brady.
Listen, it's not boring when you're hoisting the trophies. 855-212-4227. Okay, question about the Chiefs. Bill Belichick says it's going to be tough. Going to be tough for the Chiefs to three-peat. Obviously, we didn't need a great coach to tell us that, but if Mahomes does three-peat, is he now the greatest of all time? Yes.
Can we get back to real second aside? Like, Belichick is a media member. I don't know. That sounded pretty cliched to me. That was as cliched as you get. I thought we were going to get something different here. I think I was onto something.
I don't know. Let him ease in. We're not even week one.
He's in. He's going to be coaching the Giants in 9 months. What is he easing into?
Or your Eagles. 855-212-4227. Okay, lots to do today. We got football at the yin-yang. Do you guys know we have college football this weekend? Hello?
It's crazy. Came up so fast.
How about that, Nick? I'm just like, we're week 0. We're here.
I know.
I'm excited.
I'm actually not ready. It always happens. I can't wait for football. 6 months of like, oh, God, it's almost here. It's almost here. Oh, man, I'm not ready. Summer's over already.
And if college football is on our doorstep, that means Mike Gundy is saying things into a microphone that get our attention. We'll tell you what the Oklahoma State head football coach had to say next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, I think your calendar's off. You said something about college football starting this weekend. How is that possible? July 4th just happened yesterday.
I know.
It's still the heat of the summer. I'm not even listening. But I I think you might be right. All right, big debate today. If Patrick Mahomes wins another Super Bowl, three-peats, first quarterback ever to win 3 Super Bowls in a row, is he the GOAT automatically at age 28 years old? I say no. Maggie says, watch out.
I'd say yes and duck. I'm going to duck so that I can't get rotten fruit thrown at me. But yeah, I think it is. And if he wins this Super Bowl in New Orleans and walks off and says, I'm never playing again, he's the GOAT, and Tom Brady was 7 is not the GOAT. Yes, and again, you don't see this as the LeBron Jordan thing, but I do. And it's funny because I'd be taking the Jordan side this time, which is the shorter career, but the higher peak.
What? No.
Brady is the compiler. No, I'm just kidding. He's not a compiler. But
Jordan had 6 titles. How many is LeBron have?
Presti just looked at me.
Yeah.
No, but LeBron, the biggest feather in the cap for LeBron against the Jordan debate is his longevity, right?
No. That's
and the
like
amount
the biggest
of finals
weakness.
he went to and all that.
He's Frank Gore of basketball. That is longevity? Like what nobody cares about LeBron's longevity. If anything, it's hurting him. He has, how many rings does LeBron have? 4?
4.
Yeah. So he'd be the Mahomes in this argument.
No,
and Drew Brady would be the GOAT.
I think it's a little different because Brady just is around for 20 years.
Yeah.
But I think Mahomes has the higher peak because he's actually the better quarterback. And if he three-peats and wins 4 in 6 years, that's the higher peak. So that's why I would say he would have claim to the GOAT. You can vote, by the way, at Maggie and Pearl on X. Mitch is in Alberta, Canada. Beautiful this time of year. Mitch, what do you think? Does Mahomes become the GOAT if he three-peats?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. I don't think so. I think you need to have sustained greatness like Brady. I remember watching my Eagles get crushed in 2004, and as a 10-year-old, I was devastated.
Yep.
Brady's been doing that from 2004 all the way until he retired with a different team, Tampa Bay. I think he's been able to do it with way different people. Different coaches, different receivers, different everything. As much as I never really liked Tom Brady, I do think he is the greatest of all time. Patrick Mahomes will probably get there if he continues to play, but I think it has to be a sustained career that goes 20 years, not just 3 great seasons with a fantastic coach in Andy Reid and the rest of the cast there. So thanks for having me on. But yeah, that's what I think.
Appreciate you, Mitch. Eagles fans north of the border. Perloff happy about that.
It's interesting. Like even Mitch could not separate. It's easy. Brady is part of a system there. Like he's saying, like he did it with all different kinds of people. I wonder if that's a ding on Mahomes. Like people think like me. Oh, like wow, like this is a perfect marriage. He's in Kansas City with Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Andy Reid. Like, what could Patrick Mahomes go to Tampa Bay and win a title on some random team right now? I think the way football works is no. So it's a different GOAT debate. By the way, Tom Brady led the league in passing in 2005 and in 2021.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. 2021, the second year in Tampa Bay after the Super Bowl, he
should have won the MVP that year.
5,316 yards, by far his career high. And 43 touchdowns and 12 picks.
Do you remember Aaron Rodgers won that MVP I don't want to say out of nowhere, but it was like a very late push. Brady should have won that MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes also has, Brady has like that crazy season with Randy Moss. Mahomes has his first MVP year. He threw 50 touchdowns as well. But it's funny that they're going the exact opposite order. Mahomes' numbers are going down. The Super Bowl rings are going up. Brady's numbers went up. And he didn't win Super Bowls when he was thrown all over the yard. It's a bizarre dynamic. I don't know. Why do we have to denigrate Tom Brady?
I'm not denigrating. We're just talking here.
Well, you can't have a GOAT debate without denigrating someone, Maggie.
Listen, it doesn't. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, that's weird. The lifelong Bills fan is ready to move on from Tom Brady. Bizarre.
He at one point held all the passing records in Buffalo as the opponent. I believe me. I have a healthy respect for Brady and for Belichick. Believe me. All right, we mentioned, and quickly, Chris Lopresti is here. Should we get to the Mike Gundy? Should we save it? Let's save it.
I want to hear CeeLo's take. CeeLo is a man of common sense. He's a man of logic. I want to hear his answer. If Patrick Mahomes three-peats this year, is he automatically the GOAT over Tom Brady?
No. Automatically? No way.
I knew he'd say that.
No way. And I love Patrick Mahomes. So our last caller there from very polite man from Canada there, when he's like, he's probably, I don't even say it's probable. Like, there's a long way to go. I mean, he's amazing right now, but I don't think...
You're not penciling in Mahomes for GOATness.
I mean, there's still a lot left to accomplish. I think it's recency bias right now. And I'm not trying to knock the guy. I mean, he's brilliant. There's no criticism. There's no negative.
There's no flaws. Yeah.
But there's more of a body of work I think that needs to be built. Like I was with Perloff that just said if he wins next year and walks off into the sunset, is he the greatest of all time? No, I don't think he's the greatest of all time. There've been some incredible quarterbs that we've watched.
And he's the best out of all of them.
I mean, if you want to say he's the most talented.
Yeah. I think that plays into it, right? Because he is more talented than Brady, and I think that even Brady would say that
physically, yes.
So I think that plays into the debate for sure.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers is more talented than Brady.
Yeah, he is.
But
even
Rodgers
Brady didn't get close with the Super Bowls.
I know. He's not going to be in the GOAT conversation. There's certain things that I think Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady do as far as being leaders that elevate them above an Aaron Rodgers. Like everybody falls in line. He's like I think the greatest thing about Tom Brady, honestly, is you went to New England and you watch Tom Brady work and you fell in line. You're like, well, if that guy's acting like that. And I think the same thing can be said about Mahomes. You get to the Chiefs and you're like, wow, I better be excellent because Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback. So they're both, I would say they're both GOATs. We're all GOATs.
No,
but
can't have to.
Yeah, it's Brady right now, and it's going to be Brady until Patrick Mahomes does a little more. Let's let the guy get to his 30s, Maggie.
No. I'm not going to let him.
Not allowing it.
Not allowing it. CeeLo has updates for us, headlines, and we will get to the Mike Gundy sound on the other side because it's Mike Gundy, so the sound's good.
Always. All right, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle and get a quote at progressive.com. Another thing you guys will get into throughout the course of the morning here. I'll give you a little taste of it. You're no good. You suck at what you're doing, and you don't belong.
Yeah.
Just a few of the things that Tua Tagovailoa says he heard from Brian Flores during his first 2 years in the NFL when Flores was head coaching the Dolphins. Tua ripping into Flores as a guest on the Dan Le Batard show yesterday, and he credited current Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel with beating that negative mentality out of him these past 2 seasons, which then resulted in the 4-year extension that he just signed recently. So a nice moment for McDaniel with his QB singing his praises, and he says it goes back to his childhood and his upbringing.
If my mother didn't pitch to me that I was worth something, I don't know where I'd be, so I think that it just, for me, that's the way that I approach it. I don't think there's any absolute way to do anything.
But he has applied that approach to his career as a coach.
For me and to reach players, it's what's made sense in my journey, and I kind of just stick to myself and what makes sense for me to do my job as I see it.
And different strokes for different folks,
right? Listen, we're going to talk about this from the Tua angle and from all of this, but I'm hearing that quote from Mike McDaniels, and just as a parent, this is a hard line to walk, right? Because you want to give your kids all the confidence in the world, but you also don't want to lie to them, and they need a little grit, and they need a little living in the real world.
Or coddle them. Yeah.
Right. And from him, he's like, he's told the story a few times about he grew up with a single mom, and she was like, you can do anything, you can be anything, and it's amazing, and it worked for him. But I think some people have the opposite approach.
Yeah.
I think they want to tell their kids, hey, the world's going to beat you down. You got to be able to get it back up, and it's hard as a parent.
Yeah.
Like there's
fighting that battle with my 8-year-old already.
Yeah.
Been giving them all that. Life only gets harder, man. School's going to get harder. Sports, they want the easy way out, these kids. It's like, no, you're not going to survive that way.
Yeah, I like what you said, Maggie. It's not one size fits all, though. I think Mike McDaniel said, you got to, it's a balance, right? Like, you can't have, if this guy is beat down, then you got to come in with some positivity. For example, my daughter, who's 12, my youngest daughter, for the first time, she's never made herself lunch. And she did it yesterday. I'm like, oh, man, I've been coddling this girl way too much.
Well, what was the lunch? If it was like a beef Wellington, I could see why she'd be 12.
To be honest, she made herself pasta, and her turning on the oven, scared me. I'm like, the fact that the house is still here is amazing. But I am the opposite. I have never said a negative word to my kids in my life. I'm like, you're the best that ever lived at every single thing that I'm. And Maggie, I think you're like that, too. I can't imagine you saying anything. I've seen you around your son. It's like, well, the sun sets on you, and you're basically the GOAT, not Mahomes or Brady.
I know.
I have no room for criticism. I'm not able to criticize my kids. Are you?
Well, it's not critical, but then there's part of it is you got to discipline them. So my kid is a boy who's 5, so he'll act out every now and again. So you got to
every now and again. I mean, every
daily.
now and every 20 minutes or an hour. Yeah.
So you got to try to keep reinforcing the what the right, the respectful way to do. You can feel however you want to feel. And you can feel angry, but you can't hit.
I need to look in the mirror. I'm listening to you guys. I read my kids the riot act just last night. 11 o'clock. They finished the movie. You're still awake. I'm like, it's enough already. Get in bed and go to sleep.
We've all been at our wits' end.
Oh,
we have all been.
But I don't know, when my kid's playing sport, like if my daughter was playing soccer, I'm like, move over Messi, move over Ronaldo. Here comes Emma Perloff. Meanwhile, she can't kick the ball more than 3 feet. I think it's a modern dilemma. I read all these stories, like, give your kids grit. Let them get through some adversity, and I just can't do it.
You want to know what I think it is? This is hard, especially when the kids are younger, but it's letting them just, like, they just got to fail.
I know.
And that's
I'm so bad at that.
hard to watch. You guys are young here. You don't have kids yet, Ryan and Nick and EJ.
That they know of.
But that would be an upset.
I'm looking at Nick over there. He's got,
as far as I know.
Yeah. A few late nights on the Jersey Shore.
Just peppered all over the Midwest. It's just you got to let them fail. I think that's the biggest thing.
But it's so hard as a parent. It really is hard as a parent to actually sit and watch your kid like do it and fail. Like I will run onto the field and box out that kid who's covering Emma.
Man, I know we got to get to another. Can I tell you another thing that happened for the first time? I got a photo from camp.
Yeah.
My son holding hands with a little girl.
Wait, first time. Your son is a 5-year-old Lothario. I mean, he is just like a playa.
One time, this little girl like pulled him behind like this thing at the playground, but now we're getting hand-holding pics, and like a part of my stomach dropped. I was like, no.
You know what? Maggie's in big trouble because I've seen her son.
Yeah.
Like, he is a magnet for women.
I know. They love him. They love him.
Women.
Older women especially.
No, I'm telling you. You have no idea.
This is like I got a Zach Wilson thing, I think, brewing.
Oh, boy.
He's
I'm a little worried.
He's going to be 14 with 3 girlfriends, and you're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, I know. What happened? Anyway, back to the headline.
All right, Justin Herbert back at Chargers practice Monday after resting that plantar fascia injury these last couple of weeks, and nobody happier than head coach Jim Harbaugh.
Great. It felt like the music should be playing. I thought I heard music. Voices of Angels, maybe. It felt great. It felt great.
How about for the other players there, Coach?
How much of just a morale boost or excitement is that for the entire team?
I was excited. I think they would be excited too.
I
don't know if they heard the Angels sing like I did, but they might have.
That's a hard-hitting question from that journalist right there.
Yeah.
How much of a morale boost was that?
No, actually, really, they were just devastated that he came back to practice. It really sucked for everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hanging our heads. No,
Oh,
this is the Angel singing is so on brand for Harbaugh.
Very much so.
Wow, that's good. By the way, I can draft
Never sits one out.
Can we draft Justin Herbert in fantasy? Like, is it going to be good by week 1? I heard he wasn't really practicing fully.
But you think they're going to just be a run game?
Well,
a run first team with Justin Herbert. Just keep the Ferrari right in the garage.
It's not that. I mean, this is a big deal. Like, is his foot, like, is he really going to be 100%? Is he going to be able to move? It's getting, we're late August already. It's good that he's on the field, and I'm glad that Jim Harbaugh is hearing Angels, but like we're about to do picks.
Also,
are we going to downgrade the Chargers because it's so close to the season? He's still not 100%.
I mean, it's a great question. I just think also, I know we're on in San Diego, and there's a lot of Charger fans who are still left over there, and I know that the organization didn't treat you well. There is no sports fan alive who thinks God is a Chargers fan. It just doesn't happen. The Angels singing.
Exactly.
That's insane.
Exactly.
That would be, there's no chance. God's like a Packer fan or something. He's like a Patriots fan. There's no shot that nothing divine has ever happened to the Chargers.
No, I know. You're waiting for that other shoe to drop on that beautiful stadium. It's like, yeah, he's out there for now. I mean, plantar fasciitis. Geez Louise, this is making me nervous because even if they are, yes, they want to run the ball. He drafted a lineman when a great receiver was sitting there, but still, you need Justin Herbert to be good. I think we got to give the Chargers a year, Maggie. I think Harbaugh deserves some time.
Oh, are you just wiping out the season already?
No, not me. I still have making the playoffs.
I know. I get what you're saying. He just got there. He's maybe not going to turn it around instantaneously.
No, this is his best work.
Yeah.
Year 1 is usually when
That's
it
fair.
hits the hardest. Sorry, EJ, you want to say
playoff.
something? I do.
No, I was just gonna say, God might not be a Charger fan, but the devil gave them Brandon Staley.
Ain't that the
that
truth?
That was a rough 2 years, 3 years. I don't know how long it was, but I felt that all the way in the East Coast.
It's been eternity. That's how long.
All those fourth downs and blowing games. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Are you guys Dr. Chow people? Have you had?
I got Dr. Chow.
Met him
Yeah,
at the Super Bowl.
he fixed my elbow.
Okay, there you go. So I did see he expects Herbert to be good to go by week 1, almost like full 100%.
Yeah. No, I have the Chargers in the Super Bowl. I have the Chargers in the playoffs.
So
along with every other AFC team.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm doing some math here because I've heard the Jets, the Dolphins,
the Browns.
The Browns.
Steelers.
If the Browns make it, not the Steelers. You really have the Steelers? But you're definitely the Bengals and the Ravens.
Yep.
They're
expanding playoffs this year. So 12 teams
you
like
said
college
it with such
football
confidence. I'm like, oh, boys.
Those two. Yep.
You're like Brian Flores, basically telling Tua he's no good because you can't have all these teams. I mean, listen, the funny thing about the AFC, there are definitely 4 playoff-worthy teams in the AFC North. Good luck finding a way to get the Chargers in.
The Browns, I think, are going to be my pick. I don't like how they're losing offensive linemen left
The
and
Cleveland
right.
Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
Pick for what?
Sleeper team.
Sleeper team don't get to the Super Bowl?
I think so.
Wow.
All right.
I'm flirting with it.
Bold prediction.
I know. I'm dancing around it. No, I mean, I'm going to pick the Chiefs like everyone else.
I mean, honestly, it's like the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bengals. You're picking the Bengals because you have a rule. Don't bet against Joe Burrow.
I do.
That's the only smart thing we do at this silly organization we're running with weird lights. We don't bet against Joe Burrow, CeeLo.
Except he's had season-ending injuries twice already in his
Still
career.
don't bet against him.
That's
It's
good.
actually one of the 10 commandments of this show.
Yeah, that is a good point, though, that CeeLo brings up.
I know.
The AFC is so hard. The NFC, pretty simple. The AFC, there are many, many good teams. Maggie's put 19 of them in the playoffs.
It's the question is who's not going to make the playoffs
Yeah,
out of the
right. Short
AFC. I think I got maybe the Patriots, but I'm not rolling them out.
Thank God for the AFC South. That gives us some teams not to put in.
I don't know. I kind of like the AFC
Oh,
South.
yeah.
Me too.
I do
Someone's
like
got to come out of there.
Yeah. No, I mean, now the Patriots might be starting Drake Maye. I'm back in. I'm interested. CeeLo, thank you. We'll get to everything else next hour. We teased it. Mike Gundy back at the mic. He's a man. He's, older than 40 now. But what did he have to say about the one thing that is bothering him the most heading into this, what could be a very big season for Oklahoma State? We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie, Gray, Andrew Perloff. College football happening in just a matter of days, Pearl. Florida State, Georgia Tech, Saturday, noon. It's coming to us from Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah, I know. Awesome.
This is amazing. And then we just get right into the slate of week 0, which is phenomenal. Mike Gundy in midseason form, though. Mike Gundy at the microphone, the Oklahoma State head coach. Never met a Mike he didn't like. He's talking about one of the challenges and one of the things that really irks him in this new era of NIL is how players and their agents want to keep negotiating during the season. Here's Mike Gundy. He told them, players, tell your agents to stop calling me.
The business side of what we do now is we have to have those conversations with them. You know, tell your agent to quit calling us and asking for more money. It's non-negotiable now. Going to start again in December. So now we're able to direct ourselves just at football, and that part is fun because there's been so much other stuff going on. It's been hard to really focus on football.
Let's hear more from Mike Gundy. What else did he have to say, Nick?
Well, I told the players, there's no negotiating now. Portal's over. Right. All negotiations history. Now we're playing football.
You can enjoy
just coaching and playing football.
Conference.
Yeah, to me, this is not a surprise that the players and their agents are trying to negotiate into the season. Look at what we see in the NFL. The NFL right now, how many guys are holding out, holding in, trying to get new contracts, more money. We all know if you have leverage, you try to use it. The agents for the college kids are going to know this the same as the agents for the NFL guys, Pearl. So I wasn't that surprised. And, of course, the coach doesn't like it, right? This is another distraction.
I hate to do this. Now that I hear it, that actually kind of makes some sense. Am I agreeing with Mike Gundy?
Yeah, you might be. I mean, wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, it just feels weird week 3 to have your agent call. I guess every program now has a sort of de facto GM. I don't think they're calling Gundy directly, but that does make some sense. That being said, Mike Gundy's got to watch out because it is a marketplace. So basically, if you're not paying a guy enough, he's going to go in the transfer portal and get money elsewhere. So Gundy's got to protect himself as well.
This is almost like I don't think you help yourself as a coach to put this out here publicly. You can tell the agents, don't call me. I'm not negotiating this, but I don't know why you'd advertise it. It's the same way I don't know why Dabo Swinney advertises that he doesn't want to use the portal. Why put it out there? I know Dabo's got his own reasons, but why put it out there so you become the guy who is not negotiating, you could just be that guy behind the scenes. Because I bet Nick Saban wasn't negotiating during the season. I bet Kirby Smart can tell him, go kick rocks. I wouldn't put it out there that I'm the guy who says we're not negotiating during the season. I would keep that in-house. Because you're right. It's like you're in competition now with every other program and the bottom line. So
yeah, but it's funny about Mike Gundy. Like, he says all these old school crazy things and still gets good players. So there is I don't know what's going on with him, but I do think the funny thing is he'll get away with it, and because at the end of the day, the boosters and everybody around that program is going to make sure that they have great players. I think he's funny. Like, he's trying to message to this team, like, this is all business. I think he's saying this intentionally. Like, we're not as talented as some of the other teams, but we're going to be tougher in my image. I think that's what he's getting at. Like, is he saying this with a purpose? I believe so.
Okay, and I don't know. Well, this is the one thing I'd be worried about for any coach who would say this, and I don't know if Mike Gundy at 20 years at Oklahoma State has ever negotiated a contract into the season, but you better not have. Because you will look like the ultimate hypocrite and I don't know if he has, but any coach would look like the ultimate hypocrite if they signed an extension or anything during the season, because we know that it would have been your agent talking to the school while the season was going on. Again, I don't know. Yeah. EJ, you love this from Mike Gundy.
I can't believe it. Sometimes it's like, the worst guy makes a good point, but I think Mike Gundy has a point here. Like, it's different in the NFL because I feel like you're talking about guys who maybe come into a rookie scale that's unfair based on their performance, or you're talking about a guy who's exceeded their contract, or a guy who has a contract coming up. If you're talking about NIL deals, especially for the younger players or transfers, you're talking about a guy who just signed a deal maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago. It is kind of ridiculous after 4 months of never stepping on the field, where they didn't even see you play, where you're saying, hey, based on me being able to shake you down, I want more money. Like, that's how I see it. And I'm usually very pro player. I'm very pro players getting their money. I'm very pro player in terms of how bad the college structure is. And I think this is a symptom of how bad college football is and just the anarchy that's there. If I'm Mike Gundy, if I'm a head football coach, don't talk to me about a contract when we're 2 weeks away from starting the regular season. Like, get out of here with that.
I know, but isn't it just the marketplace now? Like, you're going to have – this is what's different now about college athletics, and you know this, and everyone who's a fan of the sport. It's whoever is going to pay you the most, or whatever reason you want to go to the college, but if it's whoever is going to pay you the most, now it's just a leverage play. And so how close are we to seeing guys in college sitting out, holding in, holding out, doing that kind of thing, especially if it's quarterbacks? We know that can get really dicey, really messy.
It's such a short career, though, that you don't have time to hold that.
Bo Nix played forever.
Short
career, what?
No, I mean, these
guys play forever now.
No one's holding out in college. It's done in a snap of a finger. Your whole career is over. No,
I don't think your whole career is over in the snap of a finger. I'm watching Dillon Gabriel is now playing for his third school. He's 25. He could have held out at UCF, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
but it's going to be tough to hold out, Maggie, because as Mike Gundy said, again, worst guy makes a good point. The transfer portal's closed. Where are you going? Like, okay, you're going to not play football now for an entire season because we're not going to give you an extra $100K, and then you're going to go a whole season not playing and then try to make that money up in the next year when you're playing for another team. Like, it just doesn't add up.
Okay, but let's do the real life. We're talking about Mike Gundy here. Said he's sick of agents now calling him wanting to negotiate when the season basically has started. You're telling me that if Ollie Gordon, who won the Doak Walker Award last year for the best running back in the country, who's on every preseason All-America list, who is going to be the number one weapon for Oklahoma State, if the 2 nights before they kick off their season, if he's like, I need another $25K.
No, that would not happen in 50 million years.
I'm just saying that maybe not right now, but EJ said it. It's anarchy in college football until we get, it's different every state, all the NIL stuff. I can see a future that's not too far away where a team like Oklahoma State, who's got all these expectations this year, they're expected to be a playoff team. This is an awesome opportunity for everybody, and Ollie Gordon is clearly the number one guy. Yeah. What's stopping his agent from being like, listen, we need an extra 25 or he's not playing week 1?
Well, Gordon's got all those character things. So, because they're trying out for the NFL.
I'm just using him as a...
Right. But that would be, but no, it's not just that. I think you have a great point. Like, there could be holdouts, but guys are trying out for the NFL, and the NFL is going to be like, oh, this guy's a pain in the butt. I mean, especially Ollie Gordon
if he's
coming.
Talented. You put up with 100 pains in the butt. if they're talented.
But the margin of talent in football is not that great. Like, first of all, Ollie Gordon, very specifically, that's a DUI thing
true.
that he's coming off of. So, and he's a running back. Listen, running backs are so generic. Like, there's just not.
Okay, what if it had been Caleb Williams last year with USC?
See, Caleb's
that's
a
what
quarterback. Like, he honestly, like, I think quarterbacks should be nervous about doing that. Like, at a certain point, just like go out there and play. These guys are, I know it's big money with NIL, but a lot of these guys are trying out for the NFL. This is a gigantic work interview. So I just don't see a lot of that. For some reason, Marvin Harrison jumps to mind. Like, he would have been a great holdout if he wanted to.
He could have done it.
But, the NFL's watching these guys, and I think, like, you could fall 3 spots if it's like baseball. Like, they only draft you according to how easy you are to negotiate with.
855-212-4227. All right, coming up, Tua not holding back about his former coach. What did he say? We'll tell you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
So much for the mild-mannered, always speaking in cliches, Tua Tagovailoa. That guy is gone. Welcome to Tua 2.0. And welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You know, maybe a little confidence, Perloff, from getting that $200 million contract. And, you know, Tua also having the confidence of his current head coach, Mike McDaniel. But he did not hold back in an interview on the Dan Le Batard show when he was asked about the difference between having Mike McDaniel versus Brian Flores. We'll play the clip for everybody?
Yeah, definitely.
It's a little bit long. We're going to play the whole thing, but it's worth listening to the whole thing. So here's Tua on the difference between Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel.
If you woke up every morning and I told you you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right. You have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you are the best fit for this. Like, you are accurate, you are the best whatever, you are this, you are that. How would it make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? And then you hear it, regardless of what it is, the good or the bad. And you hear it more and more, you start to actually believe that. I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. You have a terrible person that's telling you things that you don't want to hear, or that you probably shouldn't be hearing. You're going to start to believe that about yourself.
So that was Tua, and that was him really taking aim at Brian Flores, kind of insinuating he's a terrible person, which and somebody who was so critical and so negative all the time that it just killed his confidence, and he started to just believe all the negative stuff. What did you think, Pearl, when you heard these comments?
Wow. Oh, poor little Tua. He's getting yelled at by his coach. That was the most new school quarterback. Well, what's Tua doing here? What's the point of this? Why would you just tear another man down when he's already out of the building? I don't understand.
Wow. I had a totally opposite view of this.
Yeah, of course. This is the most millennial quarterback comment in the history of the world.
But here's the thing. Is Tua not a better quarterback with Mike McDaniel? Like, the product on the field is better. So whether that's because McDaniel's system is better or the belief is there and he's pumping him full of confidence, didn't Mike McDaniel ultimately achieve more of the goal than what Brian Flores did? The goal, if you are Brian Flores and you draft a quarterback that high, I don't care what your job description was before that. The moment Tua gets in the building, your job is to make that quarterback succeed. And I don't care if you're on the defensive side of the ball. It doesn't matter to me. That's your one and only job. Right. And Brian Flores failed at that job.
And what has Tua done without Brian Flores? What has he done?
Led the league in passing.
What has he won?
Gotten $200 million contract.
What has he won?
Well, he hasn't won anything. But you know
so
what?
Do you think
Brian
Tom Brady,
Flores they weren't winning anything.
Do you think Tom Brady would go out of his way until late career crazy Tom Brady to rip a former coach who wasn't in the building? Like, why is he doing this? Like, what is the point? I don't understand. It feels like he's in his feelings here in a way that's not helpful to anybody.
Oh, that's interesting. I think that he's just kind of telling his truth. And honestly, his truth is the only truth that matters in this scenario.
Telling his truth. This is football. This isn't some sort of confessional thing. Like, this is like what? I don't know. I just feel like this was an unnecessary shot.
You know, I think Tua is just trying to explain why he's doing so much better now with this type of this type of coaching. And to be honest, like, I think Brian Flores is never going to coach again off of this. And he's suing the league already, so he's got a whole bunch of other things that may be working against him getting a head coaching job, but I know he's gotten some interviews. He'll never coach again after this. He'll never be a head coach. He'll be a defensive coordinator. He'll never be a head coach. Because I think in this day and age, and maybe always, but especially now, it's the head coach's responsibility to figure out, do I have the type of quarterback I need to put my arm around, or do I have the type of quarterback I need to kick in the butt? And, you bring up Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the outlier here of somebody who could eat it for 20 years and take criticism after criticism and everyday lowlights. Foxborough High School quarterback could have thrown a ball better than you. Tom Brady, who had this ability to take on so much crap and so much criticism, he finally didn't break until like year 18, which is a credit. Not everyone's that like Tom Brady. Not everyone gets their motivation that way. And it's the coach's job to figure out what kind of quarterback do you have.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the keys to the Patriots dynasty was Brady was like, I think there was a secret agreement, like you yell at me so everyone knows if you're going to yell at me, then if Bill Belichick's yelling at Tom Brady and I'm the left guard, I'm like, whoa, I better be on my P's and Q's.
Sure.
So I think that was one of the secret sauces of the Patriots. I mean, they've talked about it a lot. So Tua, I understand, like, listen, Brian Flores, I don't think any defensive coach is good for a quarterback. We all know that. Like, I think that's why most of the new coaches are offensive guys.
But they should be, because Brady and Belichick were great because Belichick's giving Brady the answers to the test on how to play every defense you're ever going to see.
Right, totally true. But I think 80% of the new hires are offensive coaches because everyone says, well, you don't really want a defensive coach because he's going to call the football game in favor of the defense. Right. He's not going to want to be aggressive on offense. I think that's clearly what happened with Tua and Brian Flores. Like, Brian Flores wanted to win 19-13. Right. Mike McDaniel
with
wants
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel wants to win 70-20. It was a terrible match. But I do think, like, I think this revenge tour is like, I hate to be like Brady, but Brady, like, hid all this stuff. He lied all the time. I'm not sure, Mike. I'm not sure because what you said is probably true. Brian Flores will probably never coach again because of what Tua just said. I'm not sure it was necessary. I think it's absolutely true. I think Tua is better with this kind of coaching. But then again, Tua hasn't won anything, so I don't even know. Like, I'm not going on some victory tour over Brian Flores. And by the way, Mike McDaniel's the one who's put him back in the game with that awful concussion. That's another thing.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a total side topic.
That's true.
But obviously,
who had his best interest at heart? That's an interesting question.
Well, Mike McDaniel. I don't know. That was weird. I'm a big Mike McDaniel fan. That was bizarre as an entire team.
Yeah, they said he had a back issue. It's like, no.
Back injury after he bounced his head off the turf. That's funny.
Yeah,
but
unique.
I just think, like, I don't know. I'm looking back at Tua. I'm like, why is Tua doing this? Like, who is Tua as a quarterback? Like, a lot of quarterbacks would just go old school. Just
not answer.
Like, why is he putting this out there? I think what happened was, he's in Miami with Dan. He got relaxed in the interview, and he probably at some point is like, "Oh man, I don't know if that was necessary. Like, what? How does that help me win?" And Dan Le Batard's a great and very compelling guy. Big fan. I think Le Batard got that out of them. I just don't know. Like, what's the point of all this? Like, what is that going to help the Dolphins win one game?
Well, I don't know. I think Tua's maturity is going to help them win, and I think that Mike McDaniel being believing in him in a very public way, I think that has helped them win. For sure, because Tua was like almost like his career was on life support.
Yeah.
And McDaniel, has so far gotten the best out of him. And listen, Nick Saban got the best out of Tua. So you can be, I think Nick Saban is probably, we would all agree, probably a bit of a hard ass. Like, I think I think Tua probably took some hard coaching. I don't think it's been all sunshine and roses for him. So I think maybe he's seen both sides of this. And there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. And he's telling you the Brian Flores way was not the way to do it for him. Because I can't imagine Nick Saban kept saying, you're the best, you're the greatest, oh my gosh, you're God's gift to quarterbacking. I'm sure Nick Saban had some pointed criticism for Tua. He took it and he excelled. Brian Flores, I think it sounded like it was grating in almost like a Belichick way. And this is like the thing about the Belichick assistants, right? It's like to say you shouldn't be here. That is, if that's true, and Tua's being honest about that, and Brian Flores is saying, not only are you not good, you shouldn't be here. That to me, how can that would easily ruin somebody, or they would start believing it, and then they're not going to be able to come through in the big moments. I think this is terrible for Flores. Terrible for him.
Well, let's hear his side of the story. This is one version of how this went down.
To be honest, I don't think it matters. I think Tua's version is the one that's going to matter here because no matter what, it was Flores' job to develop Tua, and he didn't do it. Yeah, EJ, what do you want to say?
I just feel like if I have no problem with Tua telling his truth, and I quite frankly believe him. Like I knowing the Patriots, we'll talk about the coaching and how they do their stuff. I have no problem with him saying what he said, and I believe him. But if Flores doesn't get a job because of this, that would be straight up BS. Because Mike McDaniel coaching Tua Tagovailoa won 20 games. Brian Flores with the same quarterback won 19. So we're talking about really minimal difference when it comes to actual wins and losses, which we can talk about how important the quarterback is. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting the W's. It's all about how you advance in the playoffs and winning Super Bowls. And these two coaches in their first 2 years with Tua Tagovailoa in terms of actual wins and losses are the same. And then we've seen Brian Flores leave Miami and turn one of the worst defenses in the NFL, Minnesota, into one of the best defenses.
I know,
so
but EJ,
I know quarterback's so important, but if the league decides that because this relationship didn't work in Mike and Brian Flores' first go around, that he doesn't get another job, that would be terrible.
Well,
I would
here's
feel
why.
really bad for him.
I think that it's because when a general manager or an owner takes a quarterback with a top 10 pick, or let's just even say a first round pick, all of a sudden the pressure's on everybody, right? It's pressure's on the quarterback to make this work. The pressure's on the head coach, the GM, the owner's feeling antsy. They want to sell tickets off of this young player and make them the face of the franchise and all that stuff. And to have it be that negative and to be telling a guy, you suck, you suck, you suck, I think they don't want. And maybe that's a more modern thing. And maybe when Bill Belichick gets back into coaching, like we all think he will, maybe he'll start telling quarterbacks they suck like he did with Tom Brady. But to be fair, it didn't work with anyone else besides Tom. And even Belichick, the GOAT of this, who knows if Mac Jones actually could have been a viable quarterback. And I think they ruin him. So
Matt Castle was 11-5.
Yeah, great.
That's actually one big feather in Belichick's cap. I agree with EJ, by the way. Flores definitely won with Tua. I have the record in front of me. Yeah. He was 13-8 with Tua, and then McDaniel's been 19-11. Very similar. Flores is 43, and I agree with EJ. He dialed up some defenses last year because Minnesota did not have a lot of talent compared to some teams on defense. They did have some good players, but I feel like Flores can stymie the other team. You think if somehow the Vikings went on a surprise run, you don't think someone would want to hire that guy?
Not after this.
I don't know. He's pretty young. Like I think guys have a lot of lives in the NFL.
Well, you might be right about that. I think
Tua could disappear.
I mean, being a Belichick assistant works against him, although now he's gone on to the Vikings and he's adding more to the resume. I think Tua, I don't know if he meant to do this, but he buried him. And the quarterback's only getting more important. They're only getting paid more. And the sport has just become all about them. And yeah, Brian Flores is a brilliant defensive coordinator, and he would go up to New England and he would beat Belichick, and he was one of the few assistants who could actually beat his mentor. There's a lot of good things going for him, and he got a raw deal in Miami, no doubt. He's not going to get hired again after this.
It's funny.
I do believe that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, he's probably got 25, 30 more years of coaching.
True.
A lot could happen. I mean, first of all, he could become an interim. There's just so much. I don't even think of Flores in the same category as the other Belichick assistants.
Really? Why?
Well, because he was never he wasn't a player for him, and he was never coordinator there. I just think he's different. He just doesn't remind me of Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels, and he's just got a different vibe to me. It feels like he's his own man, where McDaniels was always trying to do exactly Belichick things, and
I think
Patricia
Flores was doing the Belichick thing with Tua, and it didn't work, clearly.
But I don't know.
Because he got fired.
I think when you think of who's the ultimate Bill Belichick assistant who only got a job, he's a Belichick, you don't think of Flores. For me, maybe I think you think of Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels, for sure. Joe Judge.
And Matt Patricia, Joe Judge.
Yeah.
Guys, and I don't know why I think that. Maybe because Flores did have a taste of success in Miami.
I think that Flores is certainly talented. I just don't think, are you so talented that a GM and an owner sitting there hiring you is going to say, yeah, you can treat our franchise quarterback like crap every day. And you don't even know if that's going to motivate him. And even if it says he's saying it's not motivating him and it's killing his confidence and it's chopping him down day after day after day, you're still not going to change your ways. I don't think that's the way people look at leadership these days when it comes to the quarterback.
I saw Sean Payton chew out Russell Wilson pretty good on the sideline last year, and people still like Sean Payton. I mean, there's some old school. I mean, there's Parcells' influence on the league is not dead yet. I think you're being a little too new school in this discussion.
855-212-4227.
Oh, by the way, Kyle Shanahan chews out every single player on the team. Everyone hates Kyle Shanahan.
You think Kyle Shanahan is telling Brock Purdy you don't deserve to be here? Do you think he ever said that to Trey Lance? No shot.
I think he probably said to Jimmy G at one point.
No, they just banished Jimmy G.
I mean, him and Jimmy G.
Get out of here.
I mean, listen, he tried to get rid of Jimmy G 3 times. I think Kyle Shanahan probably said that to Jimmy G at least 45 times.
Which is amazing because he went to a Super Bowl.
Jimmy G had 3 his 3 goodbye press conferences in San Francisco. Shanahan couldn't stand that guy at the end.
That's so funny. You're right.
And Shanahan is also he's not light on guys. So I do think there's a balance. You're right. Like maybe Flores went too far, but I don't think being player friendly is always a solution either. And Mike McDaniel and Tua haven't won a single thing in Miami. If Tua goes away in a year or two and Brian Flores is winning NFC titles in Minnesota, I don't know. I used to think it's a long way away.
855-212-4227. Tua's comments really taking out Brian Flores. Do you think Tua... Is he? What'd you say? Wah, crybaby?
Well, it's just
or is this bad for Flores?
I'm not. Yeah, that was mean. But what's Tua doing? He doesn't need to say this. You're right. It kind of ruins another guy's career. Maybe Flores was that mean and abusive, but still, it just there's no point. There's 3 weeks of the season. Does Miami play Minnesota? Does anyone know? Can you imagine the blitzes Brian Flores would dial up for that game?
They're going to be exotic.
Yeah, totally.
I think we should do a poll question of. Did Tua's comments, did you become more sympathetic to Tua, or do you think that he's being a bit of a whiner here, crybaby, whatever? Did he go against the code?
Why do you want to
air out his laundry? However we want to put this.
Is that cool? You want to be more sympathetic? This is an NFL quarterback. You want to cheer for him because he's awesome. You don't want to be sympathetic toward him. I feel like that's a lame lane for Tua to get into.
Or does it explain more just about Tua? Do you get it now? 855-212-4227.
They do not play, by the way. I do not see them.
There was another part of this interview that I thought was really interesting as well. It's not getting nearly the amount of headlines. We'll get to that in just a moment because, I've been pretty high on the Dolphins. And this one made me...
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, because no one is talking about this other part of the interview because the Flores stuff is getting all the oxygen.
Oh, I'm dying to hear this.
And in the meantime, I was like, ooh, I don't like what I'm hearing about what's currently going on with the Dolphins.
Well, I mean...
I'll tell you about it.
You have this small problem called math about the number of playoff teams you're putting in the AFC.
I'm doing girl math, and that means I can get 17.
That's your excuse,
AFC.
girl math?
I'm just kidding. 855-212-4227. Okay.
By the way, if you could give a couple of the NFC spots to AFC teams, you'd be in great shape.
I think we should just get rid of the conferences altogether.
How do we get to 7 in the NFC? That's an interesting challenge.
That's harder. All right. The one thing no one's talking about from this Tua interview that it has me worried for the Dolphins. We'll get to that next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Thank you, Kirk Cousins. The Atlanta Falcons quarterback is providing our playlist today. Now, Maggie, this was his birthday playlist. The Falcons played all Kirk Cousins pick songs yesterday at practice. Is that correct?
That's what social media would lead you to believe. This playlist, there's no way that Kirk Cousins went through and picked these songs. This was just a Spotify or Apple Music, play, hey Siri, play rock music from the early 2000s, because this is not, no human would put this list together.
Why do you say that? It sounds exactly like the songs Kirk Cousins would pick.
No, the problem is they're all the same song, basically. It's all this it's Jimmy Eat World, then it's Green Day, then it's Blink-182, then it's Good Charlotte, then it's The Killers. It's all the same genre. No person is that simple, right?
Oh my God.
Maybe Kirk Cousins.
You
You're telling me there's not one country
Cousins
song
dresses?
in here? There's not one religious songs, religious guy. There's not. You can't do a send up, even if you're pandering. You can't send up and do one Atlanta rapper. How many rappers from Atlanta? Pick a song by Outkast. Pick a song by Ludacris. This is not hard to do.
I don't know.
Ingratiate yourself. Killer Mike. I mean, do something.
I don't know who you're talking about. This is Kirk Cousins who brags about getting a good deal at Kohl's on his short sleeve plaid shirt.
Doesn't mean he can't have a variety of music playing in the car.
Yes, it specifically does. It's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
If you wear that short sleeve plaid shirt, that means you're not a person who is dipping into various genres of music. Like that specifically means I want it simple. I want meat and potatoes. I don't want to spend any mental energy on this. Give me Jimmy Eat World and 5 bands who sound like it.
You're doing Stacy's Mom. No one actually plays that song. It was in our one-hit wonder bracket.
That's in the Perloff car all the time. That's a rocking song. Stacy's Mom, what's wrong with that? That's the best song on there.
Okay, Stacy's Mom, but it's right in between Holiday by Green Day and All the Small Things by Blink-182. What are you, TRL in 2004?
That's probably right in his
100%.
wheelhouse. He was probably like, what, in middle school?
I was a little.
How old is he now? He's what, 33-ish?
You know, he's
like 5 years, or only a couple of years older or younger than I am.
Yeah.
I graduated high school in 04,
Yeah.
so it's like right in his wheelhouse.
But you have to. We all were thinking the same thing. There's one band that is conspicuously missing.
Creed?
Where's Creed? I mean, like
Exactly.
that's. And honestly, like I
a little
thought
too
that
heavy for Kirk, maybe.
was it. Did
Take
you
Me
look at that
Higher?
list and say where the heck is Creed? I mean, Nickelback. All I could have thought would have stuck in, but even
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is aware enough not to put Nickelback. Creed is just a glaring omission here.
I would just
You
be
think that he should
offended
have put
if I were
in
Creed.
Killer Mike or?
Just a little
He's
variety.
never heard of Killer Mike. He's never heard of Run the Jewels. He's never heard of any of that stuff.
Well, you're in Atlanta now. And by the way, you
You're
got a
in
young
Atlanta.
rookie.
Who cares?
Yeah,
He's
he
in
doesn't
Atlanta for 8 months.
You got a rookie quarterback breathing down your neck. I'd maybe start playing to the locals a little bit more with some of the local artists.
If he wants to play the locals, wear a Carson Beck jersey. Like, don't play Outcast. They don't care.
I think if Kirko Chains put a little Outcast on here, I think it would go a long way. People would be like, oh, see, he gets it.
Oh, my God. First of all, I mean, what year was Outcast, Maggie?
No, again, this is also right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
This is the Outcast was happening
Like
a lot
2003,
of the
2004.
exactly the
Yeah.
same time as Blink-182
Yeah.
and stuff. Those are they're the contemporaries of each other, just different genres, of
This
course.
is his adolescence playlist, pretty much, right here. That's what we're looking at.
I like that Maggie would say, I'm not going to play what I like. I would pander to the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, you would not. So if it was your birthday wish list, you would immediately think, well, what could make me sound good to these people? Not what do I actually like?
No,
Is that what I'm hearing?
It's a little bit like famous actors when they're like, all right, I'll do one for me and one for the studio. You know, it's like I get to do the indie movie and then I'll also do the Marvel movie because I realize I can do a lot of things. You don't have, this is Kirk Cousins' birthday playlist is just the same song over and over again.
So he's okay.
Kryptonite by Three Doors Down. What is this, a hockey game?
This
Well, I'm
is
just
middle
saying-
school, high school for him. I'm looking at it. He's only 2 years younger than me. He graduated high school in 2006.
Yeah, so you guys could bond over
Yeah.
Good Charlotte.
He's basic. That's what he is.
So you're basically saying memo to Kirk Cousins, be more phony. That is what
He's-
you're saying.
Listen,
Be more phony and play something from
you said
Atlanta.
it. He's clearly I just think that's nice. You kind of just like play to the crowd a little bit by someone local. It doesn't have to be a rapper. It could be a country star. It could be anyone else. But it's just you're telling me like there's no Creed here, and you're thinking he made a conscious decision. So clearly some thought went into this.
Wow.
Maybe he wasn't a Creed guy in middle school, high school. It's possible.
It does
He
seem
had a
like
type.
he's actually a little. He's not. I wouldn't say that he's indie rock, but it does feel like he's
alternative.
a level. He's like that alternative station. Whatever the alternative station was in Michigan, wherever he
Yeah.
grew up,
Yeah.
he listened to that, like pop alternative, like Blink-182,
Yeah.
which is a little different than Creed. Would you say that's fair,
Yes.
CeeLo?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say
it is.
Blink-182 is more on the punk side.
Yeah.
Creed
Yeah.
was more like, I'm not going to say heavy metal, but
Yeah.
definitely a heavier sound.
Well, no,
A
Creed
hard
was,
rock.
I think, a little poppier, like in the Matchbox
Well,
20.
But
You know,
but it depends on what kind. Like Creed had a couple of crossover pop hits.
Yeah.
Higher with Arms Wide Open. But if you actually were someone that like enjoyed their full albums, they definitely had some heavier
And by the way,
stuff.
it could have been fun if he's more into the punk stuff. Like throw a Misfits song on there, do something like just. Can we get anything? This is the
Yeah,
same
the answer
song
is
over.
no.
I don't know who you're talking about. I'm absolutely confused. We're talking about Kirk Cousins, the guy who drives a minivan.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as the rap goes, I'm sure you get that every day at camp, just blasting on the speaker. So he probably figured, let me go on a different route today.
We've been to many training camps. There's generally a lot of rap music, but there's also a lot of everything. I'm sure country makes it into a lot of these playlists too. So
Kirk Cousins, the guy they put a chain on as a joke last year because this is the last human being on planet Earth. What did they call him when he was
Kirk O'Chains?
Yeah, they had wasn't there some also a swaggy nickname when they would just make fun of this is the lamest human being of all time as far as coolness in the NFL. He was defined by his minivan for about 5 years of his career, and you like that. That's the two things we knew about Kirk Cousins.
That's true. Tuesdays at Barnes and Noble. I know. I watched the doc, the quarterback doc last year. Very different than Mahomes.
He was on a documentary in his third year watching. He's like, listen, would I like a cool car? Yes. But then he went on the fuel efficiency of the Plymouth.
Okay.
The dude is lame,
So
Mag.
here's always the thing I've said about Kirk Cousins, watching that documentary Quarterback, which followed him, Mahomes, and Marcus Mariota. Kirk, on the outside, everything's super straight-laced, going to Kohl's, that's great, and doing the minivan thing and being Mr. Relatable and Mr. Dad. And then he's got a secret door where you open it up into Kirk's shrine to himself.
Yes.
He's got this trophy room of all of his accomplishments, and they're tucked away. And man, could a psychologist have a field day with that? He's very proud of everything in there, but he doesn't want it out for everyone to see. This guy's repressed. And so I thought the music choices could have been a way to kind of let out a little bit of who's the real Kirk Cousins.
He's humble. He's not, hey, look at me, flashy, all this, and look at all my great accomplishments.
But he just goes in there and basks in his own glory.
I think, like you said, he's proud. I don't know if he basks. He's proud of it. Do you have things from your childhood accomplishments? Probably, maybe not in a shrine, but you have things somewhere, yes?
Yeah, I don't have them displayed, you're right, but I also don't have them in this little sanctuary to myself that I go in and just the good old days.
I'm not going to put it on display and make it part of, hey, look at our house and look at my shrine to myself. If I want to go in there and reflect on it, he's got a nice little room to go down memory lane, and he's probably in there listening to this playlist when he's doing
the Killers.
Yeah.
Also, players actually have an issue. Where do I put all the game-worn cleats? I've heard them talk about that. It's a lot of crap that they have to find somewhere to put. I didn't see that particular episode, but you're delusional.
It looks like a closet. It looks like a Kirk Cousins only TGI Fridays.
Name a song that you would have had Kirk Cousins play. Whatever it is, this is it's just not going to make sense. It would have been weird if Kirk Cousins had come out and
can't play Rosa Parks. It's the most obvious.
Oh, my God.
No?
You are not reading Kirk Cousins.
Clearly I'm not.
This is actually, I'm surprised at what his radicals he did with this list. I'll bet you he was.
This is the party time list.
Yeah.
You should have had some DMX on there or something.
Yeah, a little bit different
Get
sound.
out of here. Even the fact that let's be honest, are we all a little surprised that Kirk Cousins listens to Green Day? I was that's a lot of. There's some curse words in there, Kirk.
Usher. We can't. Anyway, we'll get to the rest of the one thing that no one's talking about from the Tua Tagovailoa interview. Yes, the Brian Flores criticism is out there front and center. We've got that for you. But there was another part of this interview that to me didn't make me that high on the Dolphins. We'll get to that in a minute. CeeLo's got headlines. What do you have, sir?
All right, well, you're talking Falcons. Let's talk about Matthew Judon, which is kind of the opposite of the Hassan Reddick situation with the Jets. He's, of course, been a camp holdout after the trade from the Eagles. So Judon upset with his contract with the Patriots. He ends up getting traded to the Falcons, and now all of a sudden he's all good with his contract. And he was walking through that decision, basically saying that was up to him. No new deal coming to Atlanta. He's just fine with that.
The Atlanta Falcons know nothing about me as a football player and as about me as a man or, that stuff. They really know my previous resume.
And because of that,
I can't really demand or ask for anything that I haven't worked for. And that's where I've been my whole life. So I'm going to work for it, man.
Pretty refreshing perspective that you don't get very often.
Wild.
So it's sort of he still wants a new deal at some point, but let me go prove it now with this new organization, and then we'll circle back to it.
Isn't the rule in the NFL when you trade for a player, you have to sign them immediately or chaos ensues? I thought that's what happened.
Me too. This is a total role reversal. And by the way, he was really holding the Patriots' feet to the fire.
Right.
And Bill Belichick was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and he said Judon was even wanted a new contract 2 years ago. So how they appeased him was putting incentives and stuff like that into the contract to try to give him a little more money, and he got hurt. So now his agents were like, we really got to get the money for the Patriots because we don't want this to happen again. But then he goes to the Falcons. It's a totally different tune. Now, the dude's made $75 million in his career, so
he's doing all right.
He's good. But in some ways, he's in a tough spot. He's a 32-year-old, pass rusher. I don't think that big payday's coming.
No, probably a year-to-year situation.
It's going to be like Jadeveon Clowney or Yannick Ngakoue or these guys who just end up going from team to team to team.
Yeah.
What's funny
he's got to put up the numbers and the sacks and then catch on with somebody new, and he'll get a 1-year deal or something like that.
It's going to be on prove-it deals, which is weird because he's really good, but prove-it deals from here on out.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. He said that he couldn't get the Patriots on the phone, that they would just text him, and there was a lot of weird communication going on. Made me feel like the Patriots wanted out. I think listen, Mr. Belichick clearly would have cut Matthew Judon. I mean, there's no doubt.
They got a third-round pick for him. This is a nice return
Which
for
would
a
have been
rebuilding team.
probably would have been the same comp pick if he was a free agent, if he had left. But they get it a year early, so I think he's got 1 year left, right? Or how many? So but basically, this is hard for a 32-year. You nailed it, Maggie. Like 32-year-old pass rushers become expendable. It makes it. He doesn't fit the Patriots right now. He happens to be their only good player, but what do they need him for? Nothing. I'm psyched on the Falcons, though. I thought he was going to be a pain in the neck. Like, I don't know.
He's going to be motivated.
He's getting on board.
That dude, if he's healthy, I mean, he is awesome.
Yeah,
there you go.
He's the first. I can't even think of a good. I saw some stat. The Falcons haven't had a double-digit sack guy since Vic Beasley had 1 year in 2016. They never have pass rushers. Ever. So this is going to be really fun.
There you go. He's got 1 year left, $6.5 million on the base salary. We mentioned Justin Herbert back at Chargers practice, dealing with that plantar fascia injury these last few weeks. Looks like he'll be good to go for LA season opener. And speaking of week 1, it'll be rookie second overall pick Jaden Daniels under center for the Washington Commanders as he was officially named starting QB by head coach Dan Quinn yesterday.
Just a blessing that DQ and AP trust me to go out there and lead the team, lead the franchise to hopefully win some games. So big ups to them. It's a blessing. Something I dreamt about as a kid.
And his reward, he gets to face Todd Bowles' Bucs defense on the road for his official NFL debut to get things started. Also, no Michael Penix Jr. in the Falcons preseason finale, as Raheem Morris says that he and his staff will have gotten enough of a look of him during joint practices as well as Penix's work during Atlanta's preseason opener. So they're keeping him out. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is going to be the starter, the aforementioned Cousins, but you will not get a look at Penix Jr. I think it's Friday against the Dolphins.
So all the nice things. Game. All the nice things I said about Judon, forget it. Not playing Penix is the dumbest move in the history of preseason football since they started preseason football. What are they doing?
I don't understand. Like, I know Penix had the injury history. That was a while ago, though. He got over it enough that you took him with the 8th overall pick, so clearly you weren't worried about it. So now you'd be worried about, because, Morris had a quote about, we know so much more about sports science and keeping guys healthy. It's like, what? He's not going to play this year.
Yeah.
Or maybe he is.
Yeah, maybe. Or you hope he doesn't play, right? Because if he plays, that means Cousins either got hurt or something went really wrong with the Falcons offense.
Yeah, right.
I would think.
I mean, the question is, what song do they play? Kirk Cousins finally does come out for week 1.
We'll get into some notable baseball results from last night along the way this morning, including a couple of walk-offs. We'll play you this one here from Houston.
And Diaz hits it high in the air, deep to left center field. Kiss it goodbye! Onto the train tracks. Walk-off home run, Diner Diaz. And the Astros beat the Red Sox 5-4.
That's Robert Ford, Astros radio, which was kind of cool about this one. That was the first pitch Diaz saw after he was hit with an automatic strikeout in his prior at-bat. So everyone gets the pitch clock timeout, and he didn't realize that he had been charged because he was essentially not arguing a strike call, but he kind of backed out of the box. The ump said, that's your timeout. And then he went back for it with 2 strikes. So violation, automatic strikeout, first time it had happened in the big leagues this year. Comes up in the 9th, first pitch he sees, bang over the fence. Astros win the game. So it worked out okay for him. He also had a walk-off in New York with the Mets beating the Orioles 4-3. Bottom of the 9th, homer from Francisco Alvarez, who got the green light on a 3-0 pitch and sent it 421 feet for the Met victory. Dodgers blanked the Mariners, who just don't score. 3-0 the final in L.A. Gavin Stone, 10 strikeouts over 7 innings of 2-hit ball. And Max Muncy homered in his return from the IL. He had been out since mid-May with an oblique strain. That's a while for an oblique strain, but he's back as the Dodgers look to get some guys healthy down the stretch here. Speaking of injuries, another key one for the Braves to deal with. Austin Riley has a broken hand. He got hit by a pitch Sunday, and an x-ray revealed that broken hand. He's out 6 to 8 weeks, so should carry through the end of the regular season and perhaps into the postseason the postseason as well, as Atlanta tries to cling to a wild card spot in the National League.
CeeLo, thank you so much. Coming up, we've got a Cowboys star getting cryptic on social media. What is going on? We'll do that next. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Really? I don't know why I feel this is going kind of slow.
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Believe Bilal's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie, Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. Bilal's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. Peter Bellotti, 5 days off in a row, but his grumpy demeanor didn't let it show. Back on the Maggie and Perloff show, his frown as deep as ever, you know. Peter, oh Peter, why the grumpy face? 5 days of freedom, not a single trace of joy or laughter, just that familiar frown. Back on the air, bringing everyone down. A week of no work, just time to unwind. Still that grumpy mood he couldn't leave behind. 5 days off, but it's all the same. Back with a grumble, no one to blame. Peter, oh Peter, why the grumpy face? 5 days of freedom, not a single trace of joy or laughter, just that familiar frown. Back on the air, bringing everyone down. So here's to Bilal's with days off of plenty. Grumpy as ever, his mood's never empty. 5 days off didn't change a thing. Back with a grump, let's hear the show. Peter Bellotti, 5 days off in a row, but his grumpy demeanor didn't let it show. Back on the Maggie and Perloff show, his Peter Bellotti, 5 days off in a row, but his grumpy demeanor didn't let it show. Back on the Maggie and Perloff show, his frowns as deep as ever. You know, Peter, Peter, why the grumpy face? 5 days of freedom, not a single trace of joy or laughter, just that familiar frown. Back on the air, bringing everyone down. The only week and no one is time.
30 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
That is your Cowboy Quickie music. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. I'm going to be out of my depth on this Cowboy Quickie, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Pro.
I, too, am out of my depth, it turns out. CeeDee Lamb, the holding out wide receiver star, put out a social media post where he was the Black Spider-Man, which is apparently from Spider-Man 3 of the Andrew Garfield version of Spider-Man. And apparently it can be one of two things. One, he is embracing the bad guy version of himself and willing to hold out to make a point, or it means he's ready to get back to work and is about to sign.
Those are two very different things.
You're deferring to me. Yeah. I'm going to have to defer to EJ Stewart, our executive producer, who is a comic book aficionado. EJ, do you understand what CeeDee Lamb is doing?
I hope I do, but I have concern that CeeDee Lamb doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know.
No.
I'll be honest. I don't know if he really knows what the symbiote spider costume means.
Yeah.
Because, of course, when Spider-Man put on the black suit, it was because he got the Venom symbiote, and he kind of becomes a dark version of himself. He kind of becomes a jerk. He becomes really kind of an unlikable person. So if CeeDee Lamb is saying, I'm putting on the black suit, that would tell me that, okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Right.
Now I'm going to throw my elbows around and be a little bit of a malcontent, which would be terrible news for the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't think would help his cause for getting a new contract. So this is why I don't know if he really knows what that means. Like, I think he says, oh, black suit Spider-Man, that looks cool. So I'm going to show that this is what I'm doing. I don't know. Again, I don't know what that means. Maybe that means that he's ready to go. Maybe he's ready to come back. I think that he may not know what is going on with this post, which is why I'm a little concerned about it.
It's a little bit like, remember LeBron James wore that black hat in the Nike ad? Maybe he's embracing the bad guy. Now, by the way, Spider-Man 3, like that version of Spider-Man stunk, right, EJ?
Wait,
like nobody
on.
likes
That's
that.
your Cowboy Quickie. Why don't we finish this thing out?
So that's the other thing, too. I think he confused people because he picked the least popular version of Spider-Man. Do people know the Black Spider-Man? I feel like everyone took that Spider-Man series off. What's that?
Bad take.
Oh, my God. Andrew Garfield is such a distant third as the best Spider-Man.
It was actually Tobey Maguire.
That's Tobey Maguire.
Well, there you go. So that's
the picture was Tobey Maguire, but
that was Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, but that's the third Spider-Man movie in the first trilogy. The third one is the worst one of the third trilogy of the first trilogy by far.
So that's what people on social media were saying. This is a terrible movie. Nobody should watch it. So that's okay. That's why I assumed it was Andrew Garfield. My bad. Wait, Ryan, am I wrong that Andrew Garfield was the worst version of Spider-Man?
It depends on what you like. No, I enjoy Tobey Maguire, but Andrew Garfield's not bad.
Maggie, what do you
guys
think?
Are a bunch of Dorcas Malorcases. No, I don't know how you keep all this straight. Sorry, I'm not a comic book person.
I mean, like each one of them netted $14 billion. Believe me. It's like, oh, okay. So I've seen the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. That makes me a dork. What are you talking about? It means I lived in America in the 2000s.
Yeah, we grew up watching it, like especially the Tobey Maguire one.
I know. I've seen the Tobey Maguire one. They kiss upside down or whatever. I remember it with Kristen Dunst. But here's the thing. Can we bring this back to CeeDee Lamb for a second? Because if he's putting on the Black Spider-Man and he's now like the villain. First of all, you play for the Cowboys. Do you realize you're a villain to 90% of America anyway? You don't need some kind of extra costume. A lot of people hate you just because by virtue of playing for the Cowboys. A lot of people love you, but a lot of people hate you for that too.
Nobody hates
already.
People hate CeeDee Lamb.
I'm just saying, people love the Cowboys and people love to hate the Cowboys. They're that kind of team.
But does anyone actually hate CeeDee Lamb? I feel like they hate
Jerry
the Cowboys.
Jones might right now, especially if he's going to make things worse. Like if this means no more Mr. Nice Guy, as EJ said, and with the Spider-Man meme, then Like, how are things going to get worse? It's August 20th and you haven't been to camp. Like, well, how does this get worse? I don't know.
Well, he could demand a trade. That's how it get worse. Like if we saw
a little late for that.
Make that move. Yeah, but if he feels like the contract's not coming, he could say, I don't want to be here anymore. And maybe that's also what he's trying to do. But again, I don't see how any of this helps him get a contract, which is why I for his own sake, I hope he didn't know what he was doing. I hope he was trying to say, oh, Black Spider-Man looks cool, so let me show that I'm about to like have a big season or whatever. Because I'm like, the alternative, I mean, the Spider-Man, the way Tobey Maguire acts in that movie is so deplorable. Like, and weird, by the way. Like, it's not like a person to be like admiring or someone that you'd want to be. So the fact that he would post this makes me feel like, man, things may get really bad for the Cowboys, or CeeDee Lamb is not as big a comic book fan as I would hope he is.
So apparently, Adam Schefter was on ESPN does their fantasy football marathon every year, and last night was at fantasy football. And he apparently got very candid. He's like, the entire league expects CeeDee Lamb to sign any day now. Nobody is considering that CeeDee Lamb won't be there week one.
Well, and to be honest, if he actually was going to demand a trade, I'll call his bluff.
Yeah.
If I'm the Joneses, I'm like, sure, whatever. Like, either you're showing up or not. I think what happened with Le'Veon Bell, even though Le'Veon did get a lot of guaranteed money eventually from the Jets, I think that scared people off. I don't think guys they don't want to not play.
Well,
and when push comes to shove, he's going to be there.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, and also too, sounds like they're pretty close on the money. Like this seems like the easy one. The Dak one is the hard one. The CeeDee one is the easy one. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any chance. Like you said, a Le'Veon Bell, there's zero chance he won't be there week one. Am I underestimating the potential drama? I feel like, he's holding out, but this is like kind of, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a very stressful situation. Like Dak does to me. Like Dak, that's fascinating. CeeDee Lamb is going to be there week one.
Yeah, but you know what? I get it. You don't want to pay $35 million for a wide receiver. Like that's the going rate, unfortunately, for the Joneses. That's what's happening right now, or around that money.
Well, I think they're fine with that money, aren't they? What do they offer him? 32 is a report, so it's a negotiation. So they come in 34. Like,
but if it was that easy, it'd be done already.
It's going to be done. They're just the Joneses hold off. They sign guys late in the offseason. It's totally fine. I mean, I don't want to be like them. I'm making no big deal of it, but CeeDee Lamb, he's their entire offense. They know it. He knows it. He's going to get $35 million a year. Everybody's fine. The Black Spider-Man, do not worry about the symbiote.
What?
The symbiote. That's why he's wearing the black costume, because the symbiote combines with Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, which is why would CeeDee Lamb want to tell people he's being taken over by the alien symbiote?
Maggie's Googling what the word symbiote means.
Sense.
Actually,
I also feel like we have to say black suit Spider-Man, because we now have Miles Morales, who is an actual black kid. So we have a black Spider. A lot of people think Black Spider-Man, they think Miles Morales. So
I'm sorry. Yeah,
black suit Spider-Man.
Is that what they call him in that? Is that what he's referred to in the comic book world? The black suit.
Yeah, it's the black suit or the symbiote Spider-Man. That's the other way to refer to it.
Yeah, right. The symbiote is a fictional species in Marvel Comics when organisms live in symbiosis. All right.
Well, in symbiosis, help me out here, 7th grade science. Is that a real word, or is that
that's a real
symbiotic?
Word.
Oh, like the little thing that goes on the shark. Okay.
Yeah, symbiote's a powerful alien species that forges a bond with a host, granting them incredible abilities.
Can I make one more comic book comment, just because I know it'll go over Maggie's head? Don't you think that this the black suit Spider-Man is really close to Venom? Like, I feel like
that's what Venom is.
Well, he becomes Venom.
Oh, okay.
So
help me out here. Go.
So the alien symbiote leaves Peter once Peter realizes, my mind is being actually altered by having this thing. Like, even though I'm more powerful, like I'm a bad person now. So he removes it, and out of spite, the symbiote goes to his worst enemy, Eddie Brock. And Eddie Brock, because he's already a worse person, becomes an even more nastier version, and he becomes Venom. And that's why he looks the way he looks. That's why he does worse things, because he's already a worse person. The symbiote just brings the worst personality traits out of you, which, again, for CeeDee Lamb, why do you want to tell people you're about to be the worst version of yourself as a person? It doesn't make sense.
It's a bad move by Lamb to be posting this.
And by the way, Venom was one of the worst Marvel movies ever, right? Or was that even a Marvel movie?
Technically, it's a Sony Marvel movie, not a Marvel Studios movie, but
Venom
a lot of people like that.
Ryan just put thumbs down.
I love that movie.
Venom is good? Oh.
You turn your mind off and you just watch it for 2 hours. It's fun.
Oh, okay.
A popcorn movie.
Madam Web, was that a good one? You've seen that, right, Maggie?
Yeah. No. If I haven't seen Spider-Man, why do you think I've seen the offshoots? I've seen the prequels? No. Or whatever.
Madam Web is finally a woman Spider-Man. Isn't that exciting?
Cool. And listen, go feminism. Like, I'm not going to all of a sudden jump in because I could have been watching Wonder Woman this whole time. By the way, I did see Wonder Woman, the second one, on a plane.
You didn't see the first one?
No.
I didn't see the first one, Maggie.
Oh, my God. Maggie.
Not good.
Second one's not good.
You mean 1984? The first
Why
one.
did you see the sequel before the first one?
I'm so sorry to take some time out there. I just love the bafflement of Maggie's face when we're talking about these mainstream, like, you're like, this crazy Marvel movie. I'm like who watches Avengers? I mean, come on, only everybody except you.
When I had to watch the movie as a punishment and EJ made me watch this really confusing Marvel movie, just the sheer number of movies that I was scrolling through on my Disney Plus, like, there must be 1,000 movies in here. I've not seen one of them.
I am. By the way, I clearly know nothing about Spider-Man. We learned that too. I'm with you, Meg.
Yeah, and CeeDee Lamb maybe doesn't either.
I don't think so.
Should have called EJ and Ryan and Nick to consult. Coming up, we do a little old school, new school.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
All right, here we go.
Peter Belichick loves when he's baking treats. He dances with joy every time he eats. Crispy strips of happiness, that's no lie. Peter's in baking heaven, reaching for the sky. Wendy's bacon makes Peter so glad. One bite, he's the happiest lad. Crispy, crunchy, bacon delight. Peter's in bliss, morning, noon, and night. Enough. Wendy's bacon is his favorite stuff. Each crunchy bite brings a smile so wide. Peter's pure joy, he can't hide. Wendy's bacon makes Peter so glad. One bite, he's the happiest lad. Crispy, crunchy, bacon delight. Peter's in bliss, morning, noon, and night. So if you see Peter Bellotti loves Wendy's bacon treats. He dances with joy every time he eats. Crispy strips of happiness, that's no lie. Peter's in bacon heaven, reaching for the sky. Wendy's bacon makes Peter so glad. One bite, he's the happiest lad. Crispy, crunchy, bacon delight. Peter's in bliss, morning, noon, and night. He orders a stack, can't get enough. Wendy's bacon is his favorite stuff. Each crunchy bite brings a smile so wide. Peter's pure joy.
Peter Bellotti's got a thing for the pop scene queen. Dua Lipa on his mind, she reigns supreme. Every morning starts with "Don't Start Now." He's dancing in the kitchen, taking a bow. Oh, Peter Bellotti loves Dua. What can he do? Her beats in his heart through and through. From new rules to levitating. Peter Bellotti's love for Dua, never abating.
secrets where the old gods dwell. First it's just giants, ancient and grand, and come the aliens with plans for the land. Oh, Peter Bellotti, hold on tight. Each game unveils a stranger sight. From ancient relics beneath the turf to cosmic plots that question Earth. Rodgers, whispers of a league on the moon, played in craters under a starlit monsoon. Claims of playbooks written in celestial script, decoded by seers in a cryptic.
30 seconds remaining.
Peter Bellotti's world, it's always a Tom Hanks scene. From Big to Castaway, he's the fan club dean. In his living room, it's a movie marathon with Tom on the screen from dusk till dawn. Oh, Peter Bellotti loves Tom.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
NFL coaching under the spotlight right now. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. What I mean by that is Tua Tagovailoa doing this very candid interview at the Dan Le Batard show, Perloff, where he really airs out his former coach, Brian Flores, saying that the daily criticism that Flores was giving the quarterback really rattled his confidence.
Yeah, I don't know why Tua is out there talking about a former coach. You know, it's football cliche 101. You talk about the game in front of you, not what happened before. Doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I like Tua. Obviously, I'm a big fan of any left-handed athlete for some bizarre reason.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Hey, you know what would have been a better answer? Man, I'm excited for the team we have in front of us. That's what I would want out of my quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think this hurts Tua, but I don't think it helps Tua in any way.
You know, he was asked a direct question, so he was answering it. But I think what you're seeing is a guy who is more comfortable in his own skin, who is looser. Maybe it's the $200 million contract. Maybe he felt like he's proven something to himself just by achieving that. No one will ever be able to call him a bust or anything like that because he has gotten to that next level with all that guaranteed money. And he is feeling confident because Mike McDaniel keeps telling him, you're the perfect quarterback for what we're doing. You're the most accurate guy. And they've showed him they're not just saying it, they're backing it up with their actions. So he's feeling great.
But if you're a Dolphins fan, are you excited to hear this? That like Tua's kind of embracing this victimhood? Doesn't sound like Tom Brady talk.
Interesting.
Sounds like sort of like, trust me, I'm an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
They paid Jalen Hurts and he put out a garbage product last year. So it can happen. I'm just telling you that $200 million doesn't guarantee a single thing for this team. Tua, let's face it, the key thing for Tua is stay healthy. I don't care what's going on up in his head. Let's get that guy out on the field. He looked amazing in his first preseason game. And also, can he play in the cold weather? So there's real concerns about Tua. Brian Flores is a pass. I don't need to be talking about it. If I was Tua's agent, I would say, I understand what you're saying. It's true, but just let's be totally professional and focus on the game ahead.
Yeah, it's funny. We put out there on X, was Tua Tagovailoa right to call out Brian Flores? And yes, speak your truth as opposed to no, quit whining. Yes is winning 63-37. I think people like it when... I think for Tua, it's kind of like providing an explanation. I think it's one he believed is very relatable, right? Like, it's relatable that if you're in your job and you come in and your boss tells you every day you suck and you don't deserve to be here and all of that, as opposed to someone coming in and says, you know what, you're perfect for this job. And, like, you embody, or at least for Tua, he embodies the positivity. Like, he hears it and then he believes it and then he goes out and does it. And there's no doubt that Mike McDaniel has gotten the best out of Tua. He's gotten a better product out of Tua. Leading the league in passing. He was for a while. He was in the MVP race last year for a little bit. Like he's a guy now, and he's got $200 million in the bank now.
He's done as much as I have done in the NFL. Nothing. Win a playoff game, then come back and talk to me.
What's your bank account?
Big deal. Kyler Murray got $180 million. Is that your model of how it works?
I'm just saying, I think they all want to win Super Bowls. Clearly, these are really competitive people, but I bet that contract is a benchmark that that a lot of quarterbacks, I'm sure, will feel like, all right, I've arrived. Like, I do deserve to be here. I do belong here because I just got the bag.
And
I think he's showing this confidence by speaking his truth.
All right. Well, good luck. I mean, I don't know.
All that.
Speaking his truth, what are we talking about here? This football, or is this some sort of like lifetime drama?
Listen, I think he can be a person. I think it also shows
not.
that's how bad it was. Like
I don't know. You watched the Patriots for all these years beat your Bills. Like none of these things you're saying sound like winning football strategies.
Well, it's funny because that's a different style of coaching, right? And Tom Brady was able to take all that criticism year after year after year after year. And some guys can't. And I think it's up to the head coach to know what kind of dude do you have on your hands. And Tom Brady was the kind of guy who could be told he sucked all the time. And Tua's not that kind of guy. And it brought out the best in Tom Brady, and I think it brought out the worst in Tua, or at least he would tell you that. So I think that falls on the head coach. You got to know what kind of dude you have. You can't just go your way or the highway. But with that in mind.
I don't know. I'm not so sure. We'll see. Honestly, Mike McDaniel might be gone after this year. We'll see. Honestly, in his second stop, if this works too, because I think Miami's has some problems this year. I think they got a lot worse on defense, and they might miss the playoffs. And that owner is impatient. I think Mike McDaniel's awesome, but it doesn't seem like they do. Yeah. Right? It doesn't seem like he's definitely on the hot seat.
I don't get that. I think that'd be silly. That's bad ownership if he's on the hot seat because they haven't won a playoff game. The first year they were down to their third string quarterback, by the way, 2 years ago, and they actually did almost win that playoff game in Buffalo with Skylar Thompson. So I think that's actually a notch in the pros column for Mike McDaniel. And then last year they went to Kansas City and it was -30, and that's stupid, and you shouldn't play in that.
They had so many injuries. They weren't going to beat that team anyway.
Yeah.
They had major injuries.
They lost to the eventual Super Bowl champs. I don't know if there's shame in that.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like Miami's fully invested in him. I'm not exactly sure why. You make good points. He should be on the up and up, but also too is he seems like an offense-heavy coach who doesn't necessarily have or know how to run the defense. So, which gets us to our debate at the moment.
Yeah, let's do it. So on Tuesdays, we do a little something called Old School, New School.
It's Maggie and Perloff's Old School, New School.
All right. Well, today, coaching comes into focus, Pearl. We're asking, what would you rather have? Old school NFL coaching or new school NFL coaching? And if you're looking for some examples, this is what the old school sounds like.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place.
Come on, Lenny. Pump it in there, baby. Just keep matriculating the ball down the field, boys.
Hey, fellas, this is what you work all offseason for. This is why you lift all them weights. This is why you do all that.
Talk about being champions from July 7th. We're champions right now. We got one more to go.
I will say one thing right now. How about them Cowboys?
That's the old school Vince Lombardi, Hank Stram, Bill Parcells, Bill Walsh, Jimmy Johnson.
Awesome.
And now we've got the new school coaches.
Everybody do your job.
Guys, that game was 100% about character. 100%.
Who's going to make the play? No excuses, no explanations.
You know how hard it is to win in this league in the playoffs?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what you're doing right now? What we're capable of?
We ain't celebrating yet. Capture this. If this doesn't tell you what this season's about, nothing will.
If you got some bruises, take care of the bruises, and then we get back on it. If you forgot, we're in the championship game.
Yeah! All right, so you heard a little Bill Belichick, although is he old school or new school?
Yeah,
we'll debate that. Kyle Shanahan, Mike Tomlin, you heard a little Dan Campbell, Mike McDaniel, and Andy Reid at the end.
So, obviously, Bill Belichick is his old school. He's the single most. Vince Lombardi and Bill Belichick are hand in hand the most old school coaches.
I know, but Belichick is still in the coaching ranks. So.
Right. But the debate is really new school, like Sean McVay and that kind of analytic-driven offensive-minded coach.
Or Mike McDaniel, a very sensitive guy, positive, pumping up dudes.
Yeah. No. To me, new school is Sean McVay. Super intense, all about the offense, all about the analytics, analyzing every play till quite boring, as a matter of fact. I picked the new school. I like these guys who are kind of using, I would call it a science to move the ball down the field. And like basically the kind of guy who goes out there and passes on first down, the kind of guy who is all about trying to innovate, like McDaniel, like having that jet motion thing, all this crazy stuff. I like the new school guys. The old school guy, I picture a guy wearing bike coaching shorts, going over his belly and being like running Oklahoma drills for 75% of the practice. That's old school. I want the innovators. New school to me is innovator. By the way, I would very much put Bill Walsh in the new school guys and Bill Belichick in the old school guys. But I think new school is a state of mind. It doesn't matter when you coach. Because back in the day, there was new school coaches, and now they're old school coaches. Dan Campbell's a confusing one because he coaches like a new school coach, but sounds like an old school coach.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like the new school. I like the fast-paced sort of offensive heavy. Let's go out there and let's do something that the defense is not expecting. To me, that's the most fun kind of football.
Yeah, give me old school on this. Give me old school all day. This is where you and I are going to disagree. I want somebody who has that sort of those leadership qualities that the old school coaches had, where I think they were more revered at times, maybe than the new school guys. Like they're now part of lore, but not just that. What actually matters when it's time to win in the playoffs? It's not your fancy offenses, unless you're like the greatest show on turf. For the most part, you are getting into your hardcore defenses, who's tougher. And because like we watched the Minnesota Vikings a couple of years ago, great gaudy record, couldn't win. We've watched the Dallas Cowboys, gaudy records, can't win in the postseason. People call them soft. I think the old school coaching, guys, you could not be soft and finesse. That was not going to fly with the Lombardis of the world and with the Bill Parcellses of the world and and Mike Ditkas, people like that. That you had to be tough first and foremost. You couldn't be finesse. And I think I would prefer the old school over the new school.
Okay, when you look at today's coaches, like who's the ultimate? Since Belichick retired, like who are the old school guys? Like
I agree with you about Dan Campbell, but Dan Campbell has never met a fourth down he doesn't like, and that's like off a spreadsheet. So I think
to me, like the ultimate,
go ahead.
I think Bill Parcells embodies the old school.
I think he does too.
Yeah,
so maybe
and
Sean
Belichick.
Payton,
yeah, maybe Sean Payton. Like he's kind of a jerk. Like, in a good way. Like, maybe Brian Flores. That's how the way we started the show off talking about Tua Tagovailoa didn't like the hard coaching.
Yep.
That's old school. That's tough guy mentality. I think and to me, the ultimate new school is Sean McVay, who would seem so soft back in the day. Like, he's basically like, the thing about Sean McVay is he remembers every offensive play call that's ever been made in the history of time. Like he's sitting there in an office looking at the game like it's a science project. That's new school to me. That's why I have Bill Walsh as a new school. Like that is it's a more fun form of football. The old school is like, hey, 3 yards in a cloud of Mike Tomlin is his old.
Yes.
He's the ultimate.
Yes,
3 yards in a cloud of dust and defense.
My guys are tougher than your guys.
But that's a little boring to watch, though. That's why I prefer the new school. Don't you like the sort of 54-51 Rams-Chiefs game? Like, I want to see fireworks.
I just want to see wins. And, again, there's something I think that we all love about football that we've loved from back in the day that we love until now. It's a sport where you have to be tough. And I'm not saying that tennis that you're not tough, and I'm not saying basketball you're not tough, but there's something about football because of how physical it is, along with like boxing, UFC, stuff like that. But you have to be. That's the will to play through injuries, to do all that stuff. And I think these old school coaches, that was what they had first and foremost. It wasn't so much it was your skill, was your want to. Obviously, you need to be talented, but did you have that type play like the Ravens? Like, Ravens are old school to me because you have to be – you're a certain type of player if you get drafted by the Ravens. They're not for everybody. And I like that. I like that part of it. I'm not so sure about John Harbaugh, old school, new school, but I'm just saying, like –
he's definitely old school. He's a former special teams coach. You can't get more old school than that.
I'm saying it's just the mentality of the team. Yeah. It's like, if you aren't tough, you are not for us. And that's what I like about old school coaching.
Yeah. Give me Matthew Stafford throwing a Cooper Kupp on a route that nobody can figure out or cover. That's it's exactly like I prefer as a fan watching the kind of zippy offenses than the tough guy Ravens. The Ravens are annoying to the point that they're so old school. Like they keep on losing every defensive player, and then guess what? They have the best, most aggressive defense run game. But it actually, ironically, has not worked. They haven't won a Super Bowl that style since 2012, and they've been great. So I don't know. You really so I don't like this 3 yards at cloud. I can't stand the way Mike Tomlin's running the Steelers right now.
Well.
Open it up. Open it up, Maggie. I understand your tough guy thing.
855-212-4227. That's the Maggie and Perloff old school versus new school today. Do you like old school NFL coaching versus the new stuff? So the toughness, not saying you couldn't be smart or innovative back then, but more the toughness over everything. Now, new school coaches are a little bit more like, it's Madden. It's a little bit more, maybe this is a little more for the offensive coordinators, but like
Brian Callahan. That feels new school. Like a guy who was
the Kellen Moores, Cliff Kingsbury's, those guys. It's like it's
I feel like Kevin O'Connell is the ultimate new school coach in the sense that he's always smiling. He never says anything mean about anybody, and he has a killer offense. But is he tough enough to win a Super Bowl? I think that's what you're getting at.
855-212-4227. Kevin is our pal in San Antonio. Kevin, good morning. Old school coaches or new school, sir?
I prefer old school because, number one, it teaches the values of life. Sometimes, in most of the time, because that new school, it's off and on, and it's passive. But old school is not passive. You got to go through something to get through.
Yep. Kevin, thank you. Appreciate it. Can't wait till Perloff and you teaming up in San Antonio, finding the best breakfast taco. It's going to be a delight. I'll see you there. I'm not driving, but I'll see you there.
Cap just put something in a tweet. You know who the ultimate new school coach is? Shane Steichen.
Ah.
He called him a robot offensive genius equals new school. That's pretty good. There does seem to be a dividing line. I don't think you have to go age at all in this one. EJ pointed out in the chat that Bill Walsh is definitely old school because he coached in the 70s, but there's nothing about Bill Walsh that was old school. He was so cutting edge. I feel like if you're an innovator, it doesn't matter when you are, you're new school. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, listen, tough assignment for EJ, right? Because you're trying to find guys who embody a different time. And Bill Walsh, certainly, it was a different time. It was a different era.
He didn't fit in with the people around him at all. He was basically a professor. They called him the professor.
Right.
He was
not Mike Ditka.
Total outlier in the 70s and 80s. And the interesting thing about him was he just caught the league off guard. They had no idea what was happening when he came out with a West Coast offense, and people were like, what is this? You can short pass down the field? That's
Don
allowed?
Coryell, too. I mean, there were definitely guys who were innovating back then. It's not that. I think we're talking about a mentality, though.
Yeah, and Walsh is the new school mentality, ultimate. Even to this day, Bill Walsh is cutting edge. Whereas the old Mike Dick is a perfect example, old school mentality.
Yeah. 855-212-4227. Let's get hit. Leland is in Sacramento. Leland, old school NFL coaching or new school, sir?
I'm going old school. I hate new school. And let me tell you why. And I blame, a lot of it I think has to do with the NFL leadership. For instance, the new kickoff rule. Do you like this new way they're kicking off? I personally hate it.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying to me right now. This is it's a jumbled mess, and I don't feel like we're getting anything more dynamic.
Somebody's got to break one at some point.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes you break one when it's a regular kickoff. Like it doesn't seem like our odds are getting any better that someone's going to break a tackle, but maybe they will. I don't know.
I don't know. I just from the two preseason games I've watched for the 49ers and their opponents, it just doesn't even look like American football with that kickoff. That's my number one concern. But I think that speaks to a trend in the NFL. For instance, when I learned to play the game, you could tackle leading with your head. I mean, you used to hurt people and mess them up with that. And the NFL is concerned with, player longevity and keeping people healthy, that you can't do that anymore. When a DB, defensive back, is going to put the hit on a receiver, they have to hit with their shoulder, and they have to their head has to be to the left or to the right of the body of the receiver. You can't really hit them anymore like the way I learned how to play football. And then, with the quarterbacks, when Joe Montana played, I mean, he played a different set of rules. I mean, you could really hit the quarterback and hurt them. It was a big deal.
Now you can't breathe on him, Leland. You can't breathe on him.
No,
It could be 15-yard penalty. And the quarterbacks know this, and they play into it. Now, obviously, the head stuff, we don't want to see anybody getting any kind of head trauma. And Leland, thank you for the call. Great to talk to you, man. Leland, big 49ers fan in Sacramento. But here's the thing: we know now about the head stuff. You don't want to see anyone getting hurt, but let's call it what it is. The NFL doesn't want this because they were getting sued.
Well, isn't that the great, amazing irony about you couldn't write a bigger hypocritical move than now they're bending over backwards they were having nothing but touchbacks. There was no returns in last year's Super Bowl, and now they have 20 more tackle plays in a game. It's incredible.
To say it's safer, quote unquote.
It's the exact opposite of safe. I mean, not only it is such blatant hypocrisy that they're obviously going to get away with because of the NFL, but this is now that the new rule yesterday, they like it so much they want to move the touchback to 35. Did you see that in the news yesterday? Because they're like, well, we got more returns. So they're doing everything they can to get more helmet-to-helmet hits and saying it's for safety. It's like, what? What are you talking about? This is obviously not for safety. I think it is good for the NFL to have this new kickoff rule because you are getting a play where you never had one. And the offense is getting an advantage, so you have more points. Gives a little
it's all
kicks.
about fantasy. I mean, fantasy, gambling, it's all about that stuff. I think that's why they want the offense to have more opportunities. People want scoring because they want their fantasy teams to look robust.
No, I think it's just more fun to watch. Why would you rather watch a 35-31 game than a 7-3 game? Of course.
Yeah, but we were watching when it was 7-3, and sometimes those 7-3 games can be kind of fun. They're weird.
The ratings are 20 times higher now that everybody's scoring.
I think gambling and fantasy have a lot to do with it.
I don't think so at all. I think in 2004 they changed the rules so that DBs could not tackle the wide receivers. The scoring went up and ratings shot up. Offense is more entertaining. No, you say that you like pitchers duels and 9-6 football.
Yeah, that's right.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
855-212-4227. Okay, that's the Maggie and Perloff old school versus new school for today. Old school NFL coaches versus new school NFL coaches. Coaching coming under the microscope today because Tua Tagovailoa had some pointed criticism for his former head coach Brian Flores. We'll bring you that, and also another thing that Tua said in this interview with the Dan Le Batard show that I don't think is very good for the Dolphins. It has nothing to do with Flores. It's going way under the radar. We'll talk about that next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
And the Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogush boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, Mom. Bogush waves, he's got the road trip blues left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio, can't believe his eyes. But Bogush stuck at home, his heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall, but it's Bogush left behind, feeling 10 feet tall, a loser in his own right. Can't catch a break, road trip dream shattered. For goodness sake, for goodness sake, Bogush cruising highways, hilarity atop San Antonio shining. The city's calling their names, the Bogush sitting home, stuck playing life's cool games. Bogush waves, he's got Gloria skies, he's on the chat, tuning in where it's at, Infinity Sports Radio, playing all morning, Dan Infinity Sports Radio, playing all morning. Dancing to the beat, feeling so right. The takes are loud, his speakers blast. He's a Twitch viewer, having a blast. Perloff is spinning, the crowd's going wild. Glorious man, just feeling so alive. Radio
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Heart's a stereo, it beats for you, so listen close. Hear my thoughts in every note. Oh, oh. Make me radio and turn me up when you feel low.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. All right, I have no idea who's singing.
This is the Kirk Cousins birthday playlist.
Do you guys know?
Gym Class Heroes and Maroon.
Adam
Levine.
Ah.
Does it get any more 2004 than this?
This was like 2010.
Oh, was it a little older?
Yeah, I remember that on the radio.
All I know the phone booth song by him.
This is Kirk Cousins it's his birthday yesterday or today, whatever.
I think yesterday, yeah.
He got to choose the music at the Falcons training camp for the day, and it was all songs just like that. No variety, no departures, no interesting. Kirk Cousins listens to Prince. No, nothing like that. All Gym Class Heroes and Maroon 5.
And you're saying, besides playing an Atlanta-based band to pander to the local crowd, who wasn't even there, by the way, I think it was a closed practice probably, you would go like a variety. So you'd put in a country song, a pop song. But what do you do? Are you doing this because you like these songs, or are you just trying to be a crowd pleaser?
Well, here's the thing.
It's your birthday.
It's my birthday, but I'm an adult. So I realize like I can do something. I get to pick the music, but I can have other people in mind. Maybe you want to listen to Outkast, and maybe CeeLo wants to listen to Creed, and maybe EJ wants to listen to, Aretha Franklin. I have no idea. Let's just do a variety.
What?
I don't know why I said that.
But that just seems like a bizarre choice. It's like, hey, let's do a list of your favorite songs because it's your birthday and play them. Okay, what's your favorite song? I'll play that.
No, but don't you like other genres, right?
Yes.
So you try to do a little variety.
Not really. No, I don't listen to like 4 different. If I'm at home and just playing music, like it's usually down in a certain lane. I'm not like playing like, oh, let's do a show tune here, and then let's go a little George Strait, and then a little hip hop, and then let's go. No, that's not how I listen to music. Is that how most people listen to music?
Yeah, I mean, I pay $9.99, and I've got every song ever created at my fingertips. I end up like, what are you in the mood for? Sometimes in the mood for like Zach Brown Band, and sometimes in the mood for Jay-Z. Like, this is the beauty of living right in this day and age.
Maggie likes to shuffle.
I do.
She hits shuffle, random. Just let it.
Does anybody out?
Let the AI pick.
I know. I end up like jogging to Adele. Like I never would have chosen that for myself, but here we are.
See, that would end my jog right there. No knock on Adele. She's a great singer, but if I'm exercising or doing
the pump up stuff.
Yeah.
Usually me too.
You know, it's funny when I'm
adrenaline kicking.
I clearly don't exercise a lot, but when I do,
come on, man.
Cell phone.
Yeah. But when I do, I actually did a competition with my friend a few months ago, who could lose more weight. And we only did it in a month span. And so, long story short, I lost, but just because he cheated, kind of.
Okay. Like it was a 30 for 30 here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started off, and like I got a head start, and I took it very seriously the first couple weeks. And he was doing absolutely nothing.
Ozempic?
Yeah. No. So I was working out twice a day, actually. I worked out during my lunch break at work, and then I would and then go to the gym at night. And my friend saw that I was taking seriously, and then eventually he started doing it. And then by the end, he was like making me think that he wasn't working out, but he was. And then he fooled me in the end. And he was like, "Oh, let's just get it over with," because he was saying, "Let's get it over with." I don't he didn't want to keep doing it anymore because he thought I was definitely going to win.
Nick, you're going down a long road here.
How does this play into the Kirk Cousins birthday playlist?
So I'm getting to the playlist right now, but I just had to explain that quickly.
Yeah.
So, but now to the playlist.
Yeah.
As I was working out, I was listening to the weirdest songs, James Taylor.
Yeah.
So, and just the repetition of it. I think I was listening to Carolina on My Mind, if you know that song.
Yeah, of course.
And the repetition of that song would just kind of keep me going. So I didn't need something fast paced. It was just the repetition of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could also just say, you know what? I started working out to James Taylor.
Yeah.
We would have gotten the same gist.
I
want to know more about how your friend cheated.
Yeah. Caroline on My Mind? What is that?
Because I'm going
Carolina on My Mind.
What
you never heard that song?
I thought you said Caroline on My Mind.
No, Carolina on My Mind.
Of course I know Carolina on My Mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what you worked out to, dude? That makes no sense. That's the worst hype song I ever heard in my life.
I can see maybe working out to Mexico by James Taylor. He doesn't have a lot of workout sones.
No, of course not. That's the whole point. Nick that's why you lost
Harry
the contest.
Chapin in there?
If you've been listening to Black Eyed Peas or something that people work out to, you might have won.
I just need something smooth with repetition, but that's not why I lost. I'll tell you why I lost another time. I didn't want to go to
the story.
You had the Cat Stevens James Taylor mix on, dude. That's why you lost. That is significantly why you lost. He's listening to DMX and getting all hyped and excited, and you're like, I'm gonna just go slowly on the treadmill.
No Simon and Garfunkel in there.
On my mind.
No, it was no Simon and Garfunkel.
I'm busy over here picturing Nick as the Dos Equis man because at the beginning of that story, he's like, I don't know if it can work out, but when I do, it's right out of that Dos Equis commercial.
Yeah, when I
Most
do work out,
interesting
it's
man
to
in the
James
world.
Taylor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
This also could be a movie. The guys having weight loss contests. That sounds pretty funny, dude.
Yeah, like Charlie Day. I could see him starring in that.
Yeah. This is the beginning premise for an awesome tale.
But you would also need, at the end, you got to have the cameo by James Taylor. And he's got to do something.
Totally.
All of a sudden, he's you got a friend, and just kicks you off the stage or something.
Reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Mean Girls, when they're trying to get Regina George to put on weight and they give her those protein bars.
Yeah.
Anyone remember that
I
scene?
do.
You could have cheated and given them, these are special weight loss bars. Anyway.
Wow. I did not have you pegged as a big Mean Girls
Oh,
fan.
yeah. See, not only I've seen both versions.
Oh, okay.
See, you like variety, and yet you're killing me because I think Kirk Cousins should have expanded the playlist. But you'll watch Apocalypse Now, and then you watch Mean Girls.
Yeah.
It's called taste.
Yeah, everybody.
Mean
By the
Girls
way,
is great.
variety.
And Kirk has none of it.
Everybody likes Mean
Broadway
Girls.
plays
It's
great, too.
hysterical.
Okay. Quickly, how's in Kansas City? Our old school, new school question of the day is old school NFL coaches versus new school. I say give me the old school guys. Parcells, Mike Ditka. Perloff wants new school. He wants a little Mike McDaniel, Zach Taylor, Sean McVay. Hal, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me on.
Sure.
I just had a quick question. You're talking about old school, new school. It's a mentality. But, Maggie, you said you're old school, but that Kansas City playoff game was too cold. What about, Riverfront Stadium in the frozen tundra of Lambeau? That's as old school and tough as it gets.
Yeah. Hal, touche. I said old school coaching. I hate old school weather. No, Hal, you're right. You caught me. It's inconsistent. I also said I'd like the Bills to build a dome on their stadium.
I was going to say, what kind of Bills fan are you if you
I
don't
know.
like weather?
Well, if they would build the team to actually compete in cold weather,
True.
maybe I could get behind it. But they're a dome team playing in Western New York.
Last year, they handed the ball off in the second half, and it worked. Maybe they're listening to you a little bit, getting a little old school.
Finally, it's all my strongly worded letters. Hal, thank you. You called me out. I did say I like old school coaching, but I did say they should not have played that game in Kansas City when it was minus 30. It's dangerous. I mean, not to bring it down, but people lost a lot of their lives. There are people who lost, got frostbite. They shouldn't have been doing that.
Well, the guys who lost their lives.
There's a lot going on.
There is a lot, and it wasn't at the stadium.
It was
just to be very clear. No, they probably should have called that off. If you could do it right now, you would put a dome over the Buffalo Stadium.
100%.
Yeah, you're not old school.
CeeLo has headlines for us. Good morning, CeeLo.
Good morning. We're talking about quarterbacks on the show today. A couple of young quarterbacks in particular. Jaden Daniels, who will start for the Commanders week 1, and then a guy like Michael Penix Jr., who will not for the Falcons, won't even play in the preseason finale, as it turns out. So Tom Brady talking young QBs on the Stephen A. podcast, preaching, really, if you listen to the inflection in his voice here. He says too many of them playing way too early on in the NFL when they are just not ready.
I had to learn all those things in college. That was development. Then I went to New England, and I was developed by Coach Belichick and the offensive staff there. I didn't start my first year. I think it's just a tragedy that we're forcing these rookies to play early. But the reality is the only reason why they are is because we dumbed the game down, which has allowed them to play.
So in many cases, you get streamlined offensive football as compared to years past. We talk old school to get the young QB on the field.
It used to be thought of at a higher level. We used to spend hours and hours in the offseason and training camp trying to be a little bit better than next year. But I think what happens is it discourages the coaches from going to deep levels because they realize the players don't have the opportunity to go to a deep level, so they're just going to teach them where they're at.
So we're just on the surface, right?
Decaf, Tom. Decaf. What are you doing here, buddy?
He's getting ready for that broadcast booth game.
Yeah, he doesn't drink coffee. It's probably poisoned him. But there's something else going on.
Some version of his avocado coffee or whatever. Dude, relax. Tragedy? I mean, I know tragedies in the world. This is a tragedy? What are you talking about?
Also, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels look like they're going to be awesome this year.
CJ Stroud just set every rookie record known to man. This is a tragedy. What are you talking about?
I mean, this is where he needs to just say it. Bryce Young or whoever you're talking about, don't lump everybody in because it's going to sound silly. So you got to say, you know who shouldn't have started? Zach Wilson. You know who shouldn't have started? Mac Jones. Whoever he's going to say, put a name to it. I know he doesn't want to call someone out. Maybe
he called out Daniel Jones over the weekend.
He called out Daniel Jones, but who hasn't? But it would help if he put a name to it, even if it's someone from the past.
Well, I don't think he's saying that it's ruining guys' careers. He's just saying that NFL's teams are running lame offenses because their quarterbacks aren't developing.
Right, but to your point, they're scoring they're scoring a lot.
No, I don't know what he's talking about.
Ratings are up. I don't know.
Well, last year actually
the scoring was a little down
last 2 years. The new Tampa 2, the safeties moved back and screwed up everybody.
Well, you want to know what
else?
So
I think that might be what he's getting at.
You guys know as well as I do because we all bet on games, or at least we know about that. The first month of the season, the defenses are way ahead of the offenses. All the unders hit, all that stuff. And so I think it skews the numbers a little.
Well, I do think also we had the AFC title game with the MVP Lamar Jackson and the GOAT Patrick Mahomes, and they scored 27 points in the game. Their defense is adjusted somehow. Now it's going to be curious to see the offense adjust. I think it's an X and O's game. But do you guys agree that I do agree that coaches are dumbing down their offenses? You hear that all the time. Because they're playing younger quarterbacks because of the salary cap ramifications.
Totally.
They have these cheap quarterbacks and they can load talent around them. I think it's a good strategy. So he's probably right, but I don't know if it's really hurting the game.
Can we also talk about another thing? If we can take this to another level below the surface, what is the biggest complaint that I hear from head coaches and general managers about what's really different about football now versus football 20 years ago? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Offensive line
play.
Oh,
and
wow.
you can't find offensive linemen, and they're not developed.
The college systems.
Exactly. And I think, come on, Tom, let's spread around the blame a little bit here. It's maybe not all on the quarterbacks. They don't have a second to throw the ball.
Well, I mean, I think Tom's ignoring the salary cap, though, because he's right. Listen, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, you think they have a full playbook? They just got there in May. There's no way they can understand the depth of an NFL playbook. It's impossible.
But they're also, obviously, they're going to start.
They're obviously going to start, and they're going to be pretty good, probably. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe one or two of them would be good. But regardless, it's impossible as a young quarterback. He's right, but I'm not sure what he expects to happen. There's no way they can afford to sit these guys. It just is not the modern way to do it.
Let's ask this thought exercise because it's a good time to do it with 6 quarterbacks going in the first round this past year. Say they all had to sit. Say it was old school, remember college basketball, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had to play on the JV squad for the first year and Bill Walton
freshmen aren't allowed to play?
Exactly. Say that the NFL had that. Do you think the bust rate is any different, any lower or higher on these guys? I don't know.
No, you're right.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but
I think the bust rate might be lower, but what's different, you said salary cap, it's the structure of the rookie contract as well, which plays into the salary cap because they have to find out about the quarterback
right
quickly
away.
and then try to capitalize on that before they have to pay the quarterback $1 gazillion.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
like,
the
for example,
difference now.
Chicago could not take time to develop Justin Fields. Like, it's not even just the Zach Wilsons of the world. It's guys who look like they have some promise. Like, I think 10, 20 years ago, Justin Fields would have gotten more time. No, not 20 years, maybe 30 years ago.
I would say you're probably closer with that first estimate.
Yeah, I just think you're right. You have the clock starts ticking now. We talk about this all the time.
Yep.
You're like, they have to see this guy. They have to figure out what's going on.
Pick up the 5th-year option after the 3rd season.
Yeah,
That's $20 million for the first-round picks. It's not nothing.
But that being said, I don't think the product is suffering. Why did he say it was a tragedy?
Because you said
being dramatic. I don't know.
Tom's really
he was
proselytizing
we
there.
were in the room for that, and he
we
was
were.
really amped up. Then I was like, okay, well, it's Fanatics Fest. Everyone's fired up. It's Stephen A. Then Peyton Manning was as cool as the other side of the pillow when he got up there. So I think Tom has got to tone it down a bit for his broadcasting career.
He's found his voice, man.
We were wondering what it was going to sound like. Maybe we're getting a little taste. I thought it was going to be dull and bland. Maybe he's being like overcorrecting to that a little bit.
But I think that
don't
was
know.
sounded phony. I don't think that's going to play
some
either.
guys
Like
do come
nobody
across
wants
phony.
a TED talk during a 4:00 Niners Cowboys game. Like, have a good time, man.
By the way, my bad. Did Boyle play these yesterday already? These Brady cuts?
No.
All right, good. I don't like to be repetitive.
We talked about him, but that's all right.
All
We'll
right,
talk
then.
about him again.
So a guy that did sit, Aaron Rodgers, really no connection, but I'm transitioning to a quick Jets thing here. Certainly a veteran with high expectations. We know all about that. So I guess that's why it was a surprise to the Jets media to see Rodgers in the first-team offense struggle during yesterday's practice. But Jets head coach Robert Saleh was quick to remind them why that was.
Seemed like it was a bit of a rough practice for the offense. Just kind of what was happening from your assessment?
There's a top 5 defense on the other side.
I picture him just like patting himself on the back and his shoulder there, being
PR
the
guy's
defensive
like,
guy that
"Good
he
one."
is. Yeah, right. Yeah,
But there's
he
a little bit of a mentality problem there. Yeah, Robert Saleh, we know you can run a defense. Now run an offense,
score
buddy.
some points.
You were
Right.
awesome on defense last year, and that got you 7 wins.
Yes. Well, I think they're expecting if they can keep Rodgers upright and healthy, that somewhere along the way they'll do just a little bit better than Zach Wilson and the cast of thousands of quarterbacks that they've had over the last God knows how many years, basically since Vinny Testaverde and Chad Pennington. So we'll see how that goes for them. Couple of walk-offs highlighting the Monday Night Baseball action, including one in New York. Tie game, bottom 9, no one on base for the Mets. 22-year-old catcher Francisco Alvarez at the plate, who has struggled since the All-Star break. Mets TV broadcast on SNY sets the stage for you here.
And he lets it go wide on the slider, and now it's 3-0. You green light him?
I would not. No, I would not. I would not. Just things are not going great, so become a base runner.
Alvarez swings, and he drives one deep left center field. Mullins looks up, and it's out of here! Alvarez swings 3-0, and he wins the game for New York with a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth.
That's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
First walk-off of his young career, sending the Mets past the Orioles in the opener of an interleague series 4-3. So New York within a game and a half of the Braves. For the third and a wild card spot we mentioned last hour, latest injury that Atlanta's dealing with. Austin Riley, third baseman's got a broken hand and missed the next 6 to 8 weeks. So those division rivals going to fight it out down the stretch here. Looks like for one of those wild card spots.
CeeLo, thank you so much. Coming up, we check in on our favorite college football coach, also a major college football snub. Will it matter this season? We'll tell you next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, the Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. I assume that was another Kirk Cousins song to lead us in there. Killers, yeah. Typical Kirk Cousins. We've been diving into Kirk Cousins' birthday playlist. Tough one. Mid-August, Defensive Player of the Week. So we have WNBA just returned. We got baseball. We got preseason football. Soccer's kicking off over in England. Who picked this, by the way?
Was this a Ryan pick or a Jay pick?
I picked it.
It's a Ryan pick.
Ooh, Ryan. Now, Ryan's a mystery. You never know what direction that dude's going to go to.
Angel Reese had 20 rebounds. Perloff just asked me, is that defense?
Yeah. I mean, Karl Malone was a sick rebounder, and he was not a sick defensive player. So I'm not sure I'd go there.
It's not basketball.
It's not basketball. Okay.
I would go Ellie De La Cruz, because I say that every week. Just because
defense.
Yeah, because when he throws that ball, it's a rocket ship on defense.
Yeah, maybe to the third row.
It's the most exciting defensive player in the history of the league. It's baseball, isn't it?
No. It's
Ooh.
football.
Oh, is it Stingley who had a pick 6 off Daniel Jones?
It's not Stingley, his teammate.
Petrie? There you go.
Just because I like making fun of Daniel Jones.
Oh, Petrie had another pick, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does. But
Defensive
Daniel
Player
Jones
of the Week for preseason football?
Yeah. Well,
It's not
Joe
a
Boyle? Is
It's
Joe
not
Boyle
a preseason award, Ryan. It deserves some respect.
of the week.
Yeah, of
It's
the
in there.
week. It's true. Bad stuff for Daniel Jones. Good stuff for the Houston Texans defense, that's for sure.
Whatever. I could have picked the pick 6 I could have run in. That was all Dan Jones.
Let's get to the Daily Deion.
Daily. Do you believe that?
Deion.
You believe that?
Okay, Daily Deion. Deion Sanders. Well, we just can't quit this guy. Using a hunting reference to talk about how he battles adversity. This is courtesy of the Nick Ferg Show.
Well, a lot of people run into adversity and they stop. I keep going. I ain't got time for that. Like, I keep going. I keep moving. And I'm not a hunter and I don't kill. But I've known hunters and I understand how they get down. They say they're really accurate when the target is still. And I'm not going to be a still target for the enemy to shoot at me. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to always progress. I'm going to always go to another level.
Perloff, any idea what he's talking about there?
Well, did he just say I'm going to always regress? I'm always going to take it to another level?
Progress.
Progress.
Oh, progress. Okay, I'm not hearing anything today. I love it. It makes no sense whatsoever, and it's hysterically funny.
I was like, is he leaving Colorado? What does he mean by this?
Well, probably, actually. Subconsciously, yeah, that's probably what he's saying. But, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's pure Deion. Love it. Just keep being you, Prime.
I guess, the metaphor is like you don't want to be a still target, but I just don't understand, like, what are you doing to get past it? I don't know. Win games. Like, that's going to be the only thing.
Being wildly inconsistent in your press conferences. It's a Jerry Jones. It seems like a former Cowboy thing because Jerry is the king of this. Like, he says the opposite thing every third press conference. Deion has a little bit of that. Well, he'll say pretty much anything on the top of his mind.
That's true. So there's actually a little bit of news here, though, with the Daily Deion, and that's about Shedeur. The preseason All-America teams were announced, and Shedeur Sanders not on it. It's Carson Beck as the first team and Dylan Gabriel as the second team when it comes to quarterbacks. So I was a little surprised, actually, that Quinn Ewers wasn't on, but there's a couple other guys. But Shedeur, I think we believe he is one of the best quarterbacks in college football, so maybe a little surprising.
I mean, the team around him is questionable in the sense that, like, it's a new offensive line. We have no idea what they're going to be. The coaching staff is kind of chaotic. Yep. I can see that argument. Dylan Gabriel is going to the perfect spot in Oregon. Dan Lanning seems to be an offensive-friendly coach, so I get that. Carson Beck, is he really going to, like, throw for 45 touchdowns? It feels like that's going to be more of a ball control team. I'm not quite sure. I would put Shedeur there. I think Shedeur is pretty good.
I guess, like, does this considered a snub?
I think it is.
I think it is.
Because I think he's a bigger name and a bigger college player than Dylan Gabriel, for example. Dylan Gabriel is awesome, but he's kind of going to be a system quarterback. Quinn Ewers, on the other hand, like, he's not a big numbers guy. Like, for some reason, whatever reason, they just don't open it up with him at quarterback. I can't see him being the guy. He's All-American, like, it's going to be like a Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniel, 45 touchdown kind of guy. I feel like Shedeur could have a big season. I would have put him there. Which one? Who would you take off?
I think Shedeur is snubbed for sure. And I probably would have taken Dylan Gabriel off. Now, listen, we love you guys in Oregon. We know you're his supporters, and I think he's going to have a big season. In fact, I have a season-long bet with Perloff that Dan Lanning is going to turn Dylan Gabriel into a first-round pick. That's how much I think that he's going to be successful. But I think that Shedeur is the more talented quarterback, right?
Shedeur can sling it. The question is, will they protect him at all?
Meanwhile, Travis Hunter, speaking of Colorado and all preseason All-Americans, Travis Hunter did make it as a first team as an all-purpose player. That's what he is, because he doesn't have a position.
Oh, they didn't put him at cornerback. Interesting.
No, they just did it as all-purpose.
I could spend the next hour debating should he go into the draft as a cornerback or wide receiver. That is one of the hardest decisions we've ever seen for an NFL draft.
Well, by the way, his Heisman odds are, like, very low, and to me, I see value there. Because if he stays healthy and has this great season where he's playing on both sides of the ball and high altitude in your home games, I really think he's going to be, his Heisman candidacy, I think, is going to heat up. And he's got the best marketer, campaigner. As a head coach, Deion's gonna be putting him over big time.
But he'd split votes with Shedeur. I think that'd be a real issue. I mean, if Travis Hunter's really good, that means Shedeur is really good too.
Coming up, could have another rookie QB stepping into a starting role here, but is it a smart idea? Got that. We've also got Tua taking aim at his former coach. Didn't hold back. What did he have to say about Brian Flores? Could have major ramifications for the coach. We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Lost in the fog of golf. Bogus can't see his way. People out his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory. It's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough of Pete. Freedom from Bilotti. That's what Bogusch needs. People he won't leave alone. His voice keeps ringing in his headphones like a drone. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People can't you see? Bogusch trying to be free in the sea of noise. Let Bogusch find his peace. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of golf. Bogusch can't see his way. People.
Oh, Pete, Ron, he's got a new shirt. It's purple and snazzy, ain't no dirt. Got it from his kids on Father's Day. Now he wears it in a proud peacock way. Hey! Purple shirt, oh, Pete looks so fine. Every time he wears it, oh, how he shines. Walking down the street, he's a dashing sight. In the purple shirt, everything's alright. It's not just a shirt, it's a royal robe. Strutting around the town, across the globe. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Pete in purple, the fairest of them all. Hey! Purple shirt, oh, Pete looks so fine. Every time he wears it, oh, how he shines. Walking down the street, he's a dashing sight. In that purple shirt, everything's alright.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
On the doorstep of history this NFL season. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. There's so many great storylines, Pearl, for the NFL. I think this one is in a way going under the radar, and that is how hard / how amazing it would be if the Chiefs do three-peat. You know, we just take for granted, I think, Mahomes' greatness, Andy Reid, this great combination. The defense really stepped up last year in the postseason. And doing this, though, what it would mean, what it would take, first of all, and then what it would mean specifically for Mahomes and his legacy, because right now it's Mahomes and Brady. Like, he's done that already. He blew by Aaron Rodgers, I think, at this point. He's blown by so many other good quarterbacks, Peyton Manning. I think that it's now between Mahomes and Brady if you're going to talk about the greatest of all time. And if Patrick Mahomes, even now, if he three-peats, something no one's ever done, I think he can lay claim to the GOAT conversation. It would mean that his peak is higher than any peak that Brady had. Brady's the sustained success. Right. He's the 20 years. He's the 7 Super Bowls. I get it. But just really think, if you do 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, including a three-peat, something Brady was never able to do, I think Mahomes puts himself in that conversation right now.
Well, what's the difference between him and Joe Montana in that 4 Super Bowls in a short time?
I think Joe Montana, a lot of people did think that he was the GOAT over Brady until Brady put so much distance between himself and Montana.
Right. If we're doing a straight GOAT debate, wouldn't that same logic apply to Brady versus Mahomes?
I think that people see how Patrick Mahomes plays and the talent he has. And I'm not saying Joe Montana wasn't talented. Believe me, I'm not.
I know what you mean.
But he's closer to Brady. Joe Montana is closer to Brady. Mahomes is the artist. You know, to me, Brady and Montana, they're surgeons. There's an artistry here with Mahomes that in a different type of talent that I think separates him from those guys. And that's no disrespect to Joe Montana, who is the toughest nails.
Sounds kind of disrespectful to me. You just said Joe Montana is less talented than Tom Brady. I'm half joking. Even Joe Montana would admit that in 2 seconds.
Of course he would. And so would Tom Brady.
Yeah, definitely. You're right. Mahomes, which with the arm strength, the mobility, the creativity, is unparalleled. I just think that you're rushing to a GOAT judgment here. It's too early, because the reality is he could win these 4 Super Bowls in 6 years and walk away from the game. Nobody's giving him the GOAT with 4 titles compared to 7. I mean, I think he has to get at least, it's sort of like the LeBron Jordan game. You got to at least get close. Yes, the talent will overwhelm the total number of rings.
Yeah.
But you got to get a little closer than 7 to 4. If he ended his career at 4, it'd be hard to put him over Brady.
Okay, but I'm just saying the three-peat is also part of it. Don't you think?
Yeah, yes. But I mean, listen, who knows? Travis Kelce could retire. They could win this year, and then he could never win another one again. It's happened in many different careers. If that happened, then I think that eventually it would shift back to Brady. I mean, he could have 10 years of not winning. Aaron Rodgers won in his 4th year. We thought he'd win a bunch. You never know what's going to happen in the future. 4 rings alone is not going to do it.
Well, Brady went 9 years without winning, right? But he did go to. He went to 2 Super Bowls though in that span, and he lost both of them to the Giants, obviously. But I just think that we're not. You think I'm being prisoner of the moment and I'm giving Mahomes too much credit. I don't think we'd be giving him enough to do if he does the three-peat. I think with this sport, how brutal it is with injuries, how things can change in an instant, in a second, how egos rip teams apart. All these things that have gotten in the way of three-peats in the past, if the Chiefs are the ones in this era, this salary cap era, this look at me era, if they're the ones who actually end up pulling this off, I just think we're now understating Mahomes.
Why is that Mahomes? Everything you just described is like the thing that tore apart the Cowboys is the owner and the coach had an issue. Like I think the coach is doing a lot of this, like keeping everybody together, and the GM just picked a bunch of personalities who meld well. That's not just Mahomes. What you just described. That's also Kelsey. That's Andy Reid. That's Steve Spagnuolo. There's a lot of people who are contributing what you just described.
No doubt, but that's going to be any team sport. Like there's always going to be a lot of people who contribute, and Belichick contributed to Brady, and Robert Kraft contributed, and
100%.
So and all the great defensive players, and Adam Vinatieri. Like yes, you can go down the list, but Mahomes, I think, is the one who he's like the sun, and everything kind of revolves around him, and that's how it should be because he's such a great player. And listen, this is going to be silly. And I know that Brady had his very famous wife and Giselle and all of that. But to also add the Taylor Swift thing to this, which created such a crazy buzz, and to be able to weather that and then also come back in three-peat, I know it's not the main thing, obviously. It's just another thing. I could go to a more serious.
In what sense?
Because I think that kind of attention sometimes can be overwhelming. Tony Romo went on one trip with Jessica Simpson 100 years ago, and it got blamed for a million things.
Yeah, but now we know. Now we know that it doesn't matter what situation we're in.
I'm just saying, and I could go to more serious stuff. I could go to more serious things with like the turmoil that has existed in the Kansas City Chiefs that, quite frankly, we don't talk about a lot because the winning kind of paper mache's over a lot of it.
You mean the bad character guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how you win Super Bowls. That's how Belichick won, by drafting character guys who fell. That's a way to win.
I'm talking about even Andy Reid's son. I'm talking about other things that have, and that definitely, I think, hurt them.
I mean, let's face it, they did a cheat code. Everyone knew Tyreek Hill was bad news.
He's bad news. He's still bad news.
And they took him in the 5th round. Just like everyone knew Aaron Hernandez was bad news, and the Patriots took him in the 4th round. So I'm not saying they overcame that. That it helped them by sort of selling out a little bit on that front.
Well, I don't know if Rashee Rice being suspended whenever this comes down.
Everyone knew. Apparently, and I didn't know this. Like everyone knew about Rashee Rice coming to the draft. That's why he was in the 2nd round.
Kadarius Toney had some stuff.
Tony was. They didn't draft Tony, but yeah.
No, but they traded for him. And I just think that. Getting back to the thesis of this, which is I think we'd be underrating a three-peat for Mahomes, and it puts him in the GOAT conversation if he does three-peat 4 and 6 years. The peak is higher than Brady's peak.
Oh, definitely. And he's you're right. I think he's already gotten into the GOAT conversation. But the GOAT conversation, like he's not going to, being 28 years old and winning 4 Super Bowls, he's not going to be the GOAT right now. It's just not how GOAT works to me. Like, because the bottom line is
you can't have a living GOAT. Brady was a living GOAT.
Yeah, but if 4 Super Bowls is not the GOAT, I think you're sort of assuming that he's going to win more, which is a safe assumption. I mean, he should win more, but I'm just saying you never know. By the time he's 40, he retires with 4 Super Bowl rings, that means something bad happens the rest of the 12 years. So I just think that you're jumping to a conclusion there that he will be the GOAT, but not that he is the GOAT.
855-212-4227. We asked you on X, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs three-peat as Super Bowl champs. Is Mahomes the GOAT? Now, no is winning, but it's not a landslide. 57-43. That's not a 90-10 here. So there are a lot of people who do believe that he would be the GOAT on this one. And, it's funny because we talk about the all-time barroom conversation is LeBron and Jordan, right? That's one of the all-time great. And I think that Mahomes and Brady are going to get there.
I do not in a million years.
I see some similarities. It's not perfect by any stretch, but I see some similarities, which is one person's peak being greater and one person like Jordan's peak being an all-time versus LeBron's longevity and being able to be a factor and still be winning gold medals and winning scoring titles and all that stuff, like how Brady won in multiple eras. If LeBron just won in 2020. He was drafted in 2004. I mean, he's really spanned multiple eras just like Brady did, as opposed to Mahomes. Let's say 4 is the final total, and he three-peats. His peak would have been greater. So in some ways, it's like Jordan's peak versus LeBron's longevity.
Yeah, I think that's
not a perfect analogy, but
I think that's a misreading of the Jordan-LeBron debate. I think there's so many layers that go into this debate. I honestly think I think that LeBron becoming such a polarizing figure in himself. Forget Jordan. everything about LeBron is controversial, polarizing. Like, started off with politics, but it's just like LeBron is just a lightning rod. I don't think Brady or Mahomes are lightning rods. Everybody likes them. They're like kind of high approval rating guys. So I don't think we're ever going to have the heat around a Mahomes-Brady conversation, right? Let's face it, it was Jordan versus Scoot Henderson. Like, it'll never be. Like, LeBron is something different. And also, Jordan LeBron, that just sounds right. I just don't think we'll ever have that debate. And also, do we really do that for football? I mean, do we have the individual debates? Basketball is such a more individual sport. Even Montana Brady, that really never had that much heat. Did you ever sit at a bar stool and argue Montana versus Brady? I didn't see a lot of that.
Well, I think until Brady just put a lot of distance between himself and Montana. Like, he kind of just blew him out of the water with the 7 Super Bowls. Yeah. But no, I think there were a lot of people who thought you're 4 for 4, perfect. And how Montana played in those Super Bowls, I think there were a lot of people who thought that he should be considered the best, just like they think that Jordan going for 6 for 6 as opposed to LeBron going 4 for 10.
Well, of that 49ers name, who had the title GOAT on that 49ers team?
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the original GOAT.
Yeah.
It wasn't even Joe Montana.
That's true.
So, which is weird because it's football. Of course, Jerry Rice would be the GOAT. Which is weird because he was like the unassailed GOAT for about a 10-year period. If you said GOAT to somebody
Always Jerry.
in 2003, everyone's like, oh, do you mean Jerry Rice?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's all about.
I introduced him once that way.
Yeah,
like in an interview.
I mean, Ryan Botcher has no idea. He was 5 years old, but Jerry Rice was the GOAT. He's the first person I could ever remember to have that title.
Yeah, same. Maybe
Whoever
Gretzky
No, Gretzky
was the great one. I
he
mean,
was the great
that's
one.
his nickname. But
I mean, he's obviously the GOAT. Now I laugh at this. Like, a sport will have like 8 GOATs.
EJ, you want to get in on this? Is Jerry Rice the first GOAT?
No, well, yeah, we got to put some respect on Muhammad Ali's name.
Oh,
he
right,
is
right.
the
He's
original
the first GOAT.
Oh, they
He's
called
the
him
first
GOAT?
person.
That's true.
Yes, yeah, he's the first person. I think he might have called himself the GOAT.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh,
But
wait,
he's the
I thought it
first
was
guy
invented
to
for
call him.
Rice. I had no idea.
No, that sounds right with
Because
Ali.
Ali had so many other nicknames. I am the great. He was the
Yeah, I know.
greatest. Wait. Hold on. He was the greatest. That was his nickname.
No, but
I
he
am
was
the
also
greatest. That was the
GOAT.
most. Really? I do not.
He's
Okay.
the original. He's the original GOAT.
You saying so? Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest. That is not what he's known for. He's known as the GOAT.
He's known for both, but he's 100%. When you say the word GOAT, Ali is the guy that people talk about first, without question.
I'm with you.
It may have changed over time. We talk
I'm
about
not.
Jordan, we
Overuse
talk
it
about
now.
a bunch of other people, but like I've only
Floats like
I
a
only
butterfly,
heard
sings
that
like a
term.
bee. There's so many other things with Ali. The GOAT? I don't know.
Absolutely.
I disagree.
I feel like putting the poll up.
That's fine. I mean, I'll give it to Ali. We'll give everything to him. And then Jerry. But no, I think now it's definitely Brady. And if Mahomes three-peats, then I think that it's Mahomes. And again, it's going to go to a place where you think I'm overrating Mahomes. I think you're underrating him if you're not going to give the proper respect to the three-peat. He won one of those Super Bowls on one leg. I mean, there's been some crazy things. I know that Brady's had some really tight Super Bowls also, but I don't know. I don't think this is wild to me. This is like not a inflammatory thing to say. I think it's a totally valid debate to be having, in my opinion. Yeah, EJ.
No, I agree. I think that it's definitely valid. I just feel like I think one thing I heard you say in the first segment, Maggie, that thought was interesting. What you said, the debate. I think I want to say you said something along the line. The debate would be, I don't say over, but case closed. I think was the term you used.
Yeah,
I actually think it's case open if Mahomes wins a three-peat, because I don't feel like anybody really thinks he's the GOAT now. I think people think Tom Brady is. I think that a lot of people think he has a chance to pass Tom Brady. But I think if he can win this third, then they say, all right, now it's the opening arguments of the court case of Brady versus Mahomes. That's how I kind of see it.
Opening statements are out.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
But EJ, if Mahomes only wins 4, do you think he gets there?
I don't see that. I don't. But like, what's interesting, I've been thinking about this all morning. What's interesting to me is I feel like in some ways Mahomes, in terms of talent, is almost like the Jordan to Brady's LeBron.
Yes.
Because to me, like Perloff always says, when I watched Michael Jordan, we learned the guy can fly. I feel like kids are going to be like, when I watch Patrick Mahomes, I learned quarterback can throw the ball behind their back.
Yeah.
I learned that quarterback
left-handed.
can be throwing the ball left-handed or running out of bounds and diving and throwing touchdowns. Like, he's doing things that we've never seen at the quarterback position.
Athletically,
Whereas,
yes.
Right. Whereas Brady is similar to LeBron. Like, yes, he's a great physical athlete, LeBron, but like we kind of forget how surgical he is with his passing, kind of always being just the smartest guy, always making quote unquote the right play. That's something literally Maggie said earlier in the show, and I thought that's LeBron James.
Yep.
Always making the right play, not being the hero, not trying to be always getting the home run. So I think that's going to make this an interesting dynamic. I think that may actually help Mahomes. I think people may be able to romanticize the cool aspects about his game.
Totally. That's what Maggie said too. By the way, I Googled Muhammad Ali nickname, the greatest. But he trademarked the GOAT, so you are onto something. But Jerry Rice has Goat Fuel. He has his own company and his own drink called Goat Fuel. That's all. Jerry Rice doesn't have a second nickname. Ali was called a bunch of things.
Hold on. Goat Fuel?
We saw it at the Super Bowl.
That sounds awful.
We saw it at the Super Bowl, remember?
Listen, I love Jerry, and he's the best. Goat Fuel?
Yeah, I'm not feeling that.
Who's drinking that?
Goat Fuel?
It makes it seem like you're like goat milk.
Okay, it's got no high fructose corn syrup, no preservatives, no aspartame, 10 essential vitamins, and 200 milligrams of total caffeine per serving.
Whoa.
Sounds pretty goat fuel to me.
Oh, my gosh.
This was at the
fuel.
Super Bowl. I remember Jerry was giving this out. I think I tried it. It was amazing.
That's what Tom Brady took when he went on Stephen A. Smith show.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no. He
Take a breath.
He had some sort of...
Took him goat fuel.
Yeah. He had Alex Guerrero make him up some sort of organic goat fuel.
Yeah, some kind of B12 shot right before he went on stage.
Well, you guys will agree with me on one thing. There are too many goats right now. Like, goat is too easily handed out. Like, people are calling Caitlin Clark goat. She's a rookie in the WNBA.
She's on a track.
I know.
Coming up next.
I'm actually not disagreeing with that. It's just like, it's gotten a little out of control.
Cap is in the chat said, no way Brady's drinking goat fuel. I mean,
he's actually drinking something from a goat, like real goat.
Yeah.
He's drinking organic goat milk for sure.
No way. He's not doing any kind of dairy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
But
sure
if it is dairy, it's some sort of weird alternative animal. He's like milking an alpaca somewhere in Wyoming right now.
Yuck. Oh, gross. 855-212-4227. I believe he would, though.
No, I think whatever Tom Brady is eating or drinking is something that none of us expect.
What's that line from Meet that he's like, you gonna goat me? Are you gonna milk me? I feel like
Meet the Parents.
Yeah, Meet the Parents. It's like,
he says, Greg, can you milk me too?
Yeah, can you milk me too? I feel like Brady's uttered that. 855-212-4227. Oh gosh, you guys in the chat. I'm not going to look at that. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Okay, we're going to check in with our pal, Matt Mosley, who covers the Dallas Cowboys. This cryptic Instagram post from CeeDee Lamb that we couldn't figure out about Spider-Man. Matt's on the ground. He's got the vibes. He'll tell us what's going on next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He's moving on today. He's joining Amy Lawrence, found a new way. No more curmudgeon takes to make us all laugh, but we'll miss that thick bracket, your signature craft. Goodbye, Bilotti, with your grumpy style. The John Sterling drop always made us smile. Off to new horizons, but don't you forget Maggie and Perloff's crew will never let you set. You had that Sterling drop, it was always on cue. Now Amy Lawrence gets the pleasure, it's true. But who's gonna grumble when the show's running late? Without the Lodi's charm, it just won't feel as great. Goodbye, Bilotti, with your grumpy style. The John Sterling drop always made us smile. Off to new horizons, but don't you forget Maggie and Perloff's crew will never let you set. So here's to you, Pete, the man with the takes. We'll miss you in the mornings, those curmudgeon breaks. But as you join Amy, we'll all tune in to hear your gruff charm. Let the new show begin. Goodbye, Bilotti, the big rocket king. Your next chapter starts, but your praises will sing. Keep Well, Peter Belotti's packing up his desk. He's leaving Maggie and Perloff with a twist. No more laughs and no more morning fun. He's headed out the door, but the show must go on. Goodbye, Belotti, we'll miss your crazy flair. You're off to new adventures, don't forget your chair. No more coffee runs, no more early rise. But don't worry, Pete, we'll keep your spirit alive. He's been the heart and soul of this crazy crew. Now Maggie's scratching her head, Perloff's feeling blue. Who's gonna crack those jokes, keep the show in line? Without Belotti, it'll be chaos all the time. Goodbye, Belotti, we'll miss your crazy flair. You're off to new adventures, don't forget your chair. No more coffee runs, no more early rise. But don't worry, Pete, we'll keep your spirit alive. He's been the heart and soul of this crazy crew. Now Maggie's scratching her head, Perloff's feeling blue. Who's gonna crack those jokes, keep the show in line?
One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back. Maggie and Perloff are playing Kirk Cousins' birthday playlist. I guess Mr. Brightside was on there, as you'd expect. Kirk went mid-2000s, alternative rock.
For every song.
For every song. Really
every
bothers.
Single song.
Really bothers Maggie.
It does.
I'm not surprised.
Variety.
Our next guest is someone who appreciates mid-2000s rock. I think he was a huge Matchbox 20 fan. I can't remember exactly. He's a good friend of the show.
Okay.
Host of the Doomsday podcast, a great Cowboys podcast. Host ESPN Central Texas. Our friend Matt Mosley. Matt, did you happen to see Kirk Cousins' birthday playlist? And what is on your birthday playlist? Who's the first band?
Well, I would shock you and Maggie with if I went way back into my list, but I certainly would. I would actually go way back myself and be more of. And I did not see Cousins' list. Happy to look it over, give my take on that. But Sinatra. I find myself floating over when not listening to you guys and finding the Sinatra channel. Beatles would be heavy influence. Beatles channel. I get to 18. It's number 18. I do listen to that quite a bit. So, I tend to go, and then I go old country.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
George Strait?
Well, George Jones more than George Strait, but I love George Strait too.
Okay.
But I like to,
Waylon Jennings?
The old Hank Sr.
Oh, you're talking old school. Okay.
Yeah. Waylon, but more Merle Haggard than Waylon probably. But yeah, that
that whole group, and then leading up to Conway and some of that. But yeah, that would be more in my wheelhouse.
I have a random question. What does Jerry Jones listen to?
I was going to say, what are they playing at Cowboys camp?
Well, I know what they play at Cowboys camp, but what is Jerry probably like?
You know, that's a great question on Jerry. I would say some rockabilly, kind of like I do think certainly lots of Arkansas influence, whatever comes out of there, and so I would think he would tend to like the bluegrass and lean that way. And what is her name? Allison Krauss. You know, somebody in that area.
I thought you were going to say Lil Baby and DaBaby. Just go a little. Maybe
That's
something that
Robert
would have
Kraft.
shocked us a little bit. Matt Mosley is joining us. Doomsday Podcast, which we absolutely love, has been covering the Cowboys for a long time. All right, so Matt, we took about 10 minutes of our precious time this morning trying to decipher a CeeDee Lamb Instagram post of a Spider-Man meme. I guess like as much detail as you have, like where do you think things stand with Lamb and then by extension Dak Prescott and maybe Micah Parsons, the three big guys who have unsettled contract situations?
Well, CeeDee, we've kind of done this before with Zeke when it comes to CeeDee's situation, and the Cowboys will cave. Now we're starting to see some numbers leak out. And I mean, it's always funny to see like, 33 million. Okay, apparently that's too low. 35 seems to be that number, that he wants to be. I think the highest average. Cowboys have an interesting strategy these days of just sort of letting their contracts all play out, letting everybody else set the market, because they love to say we don't set the market. But when you let everybody else set the market, the agents are like, well, yeah, we play for the Cowboys, and we're not going to give Jerry the discount he seeks, which Jerry always thinks that, well, wait, they play for the Cowboys, and that gives them an extra platform. And whether that's true or not, nobody buys that. Like, no agents like, yeah, we're going to give you a discount because, maybe they'll get a broadcasting job 20 years from now, 10 years from now, because of their, it's not like everybody is Romo or Aikman. Although for a while it did seem like, when Witten got Monday Night Football, it's like, okay, they are handing this stuff out like candy to Cowboys players. But that's how Jerry wants them to think. So CeeDee will, and again, I tried to do the Spider-Man, but in typical Mosley form, I was reaching out to my comics, the people that are into that. And I saw the one with Tobey Maguire. I kind of checked out. I may have seen another one along the way, but I had to ask somebody who that was. They said something about Venom or something. So yeah, I can't help you on the superhero, whatever that thing was. I can tell you that based on what's happened in the past, this thing will get done about 6 days before that first game. And there'll be a big celebration, and they'll all get together, and then we'll ask, well, why couldn't this have been done a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, all of that. But there's been one time in the history of the organization where they let a star player go into the season unsigned, and he missed 2 games, and they lost those 2 games, and that was Emmitt Smith, and that was back at the start of the Super Bowl run, and there's no scenario where they go into the season without CeeDee. So
what
as
about Dak
Stephen
Prescott,
Jones said to us,
Yeah.
there's zero chance that this is going to happen, that he's going to be somewhere else or he's not going to be with the Cowboys.
What about Dak before the end of the season? Is there any chance there's a last-minute preseason signing there?
Always a chance, but CeeDee's kind of blocking that a little bit. The Cowboys have done some misdirection plays in the past where they'll go get another, like Jalen Smith, I recall, is one of them, Lyle Collins. They'll go sign some kind of lower-rung players while the big dogs are either holding out or having sort of a contentious. Now, the thing about Dak is he's so smooth, and so he just, where other players, especially wide receivers, get worked up about this kind of stuff, like Dak kind of blows it off and almost makes a joke out of it. So in the end, he'll be fine either way. He'll either be huge money on the open market, or the Cowboys will, end up finding a way to sign him. But I think with him, both sides are fairly comfortable letting him play into the season.
Matt Mosley is joining us. He is the host of the Doomsday podcast, which we absolutely love. Does it with Ed Werder. It's phenomenal. Covers the Cowboys. Matt, last one for me, and this is the question that nobody can answer when it comes to the Cowboys quarterback situation, or at least I can't find a good answer. Who's the quarterback if not for Dak Prescott?
Well, I mean, I hope y'all stayed up late. I think that game on the East Coast started at about 10 the other night against the Raiders. But Trey Lance, I mean, he had a big breakout game, and I know Andrew was getting excited about that. So I think you probably just base everything on that one game. Now totally. He's shown signs. I've been around Jerry long enough to know Jerry is like rooting. He loves this Lance story. Now, part of this is the Cowboys have lucked into two quarterbacks. Right. For 18 years, they've had great quarterback play. I mean, you can say they haven't played well in the playoffs, and you'd be right, or haven't won enough playoff games. But you can't argue with the numbers. They got an undrafted guy, and then they got a fourth-round pick who they weren't even going after. I think they wanted some tall guy out of Memphis, right? And maybe a guy from Michigan State named Lynch or something. They wanted other players, and they ended up with Dak. And so they've just completely lucked into this. And so Jerry, in the back of his mind, always thinks, well, we found somebody before. We can find somebody again. I don't know. Lance is like kind of intriguing, but no way in the world do you know enough about him to move forward with him. Cooper Rush, certainly just kind of a decent backup. So it's a great question, Maggie. I don't really think they have any answers other than they would have to draft one, or, I mean, it's, again, every player on this roster has Jerry over the barrel. It's amazing. No billionaire owner, like all these owners, has less leverage with his players than Jerry Jones. And so in the end, there's a 95% chance that Dak gets what he's searching for, which is $60 million a year, and we all move on about our business. So there really is no great alternative at this point.
Matt, sorry, we're coming up against a break. So real quick, I have a question. Who's making all these smart lineman choices? Like Guyton looks good. Cooper Beebe's a revelation. Somebody is, I can't be Jerry, right? Somebody's drafting all these really good interior players. Who's running this show here in Dallas? Whose picks are those?
Well, that's fair. And boy, far be it from me to put you in a bad situation against a break, right? I would never do that. I understand.
No, too much respect.
National breaks these are hard outs. Okay,
you've done some radio, Matt, in your time. You know how this works.
Oh yeah, these are very exciting breaks. Will McClay is the guy, is the man. Yeah. So remember that name. And he's been up for other GM jobs, but he's decided he stayed with the Cowboys. So he puts this thing together, and it looks like Guyton is an absolute mauler. And I talked just the other day to the guy who recruited him to TCU. He ended up at Oklahoma. But before that, he did not even play high school football until his senior year. This guy is raw beyond belief, but he looks like he's going to be tremendous. But this year you'll have a starting left tackle rookie, starting center rookie in Cooper Beebe. So it'll be interesting. I mean, there'll be some bumps along the way, but you're right. They do seem to draft well on the offensive line.
Matt, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We'll have to have you on again to talk about Mike McCarthy's future.
Yeah.
How many wins does he need to stick around? We'll have to do that next time. Thank you so much. We know it's early where you are, so we really appreciate this.
Thanks, guys. Great to be with you. I'll see you.
Talk to you soon, Matt.
Great voice.
Oh, yeah.
And great info.
Yeah, no, I've known Matt a long time. He used to be the ESPN insider for the NFC East, and I'd see him at the stadium all the time. he knows the Cowboys left and right. Yeah. He speaks Jerry fully, and it just seems like
Fluent Jerry.
Tell me if you had the same takeaway. It's like, yes, CeeDee Lamb is holding out, but there doesn't seem to be an insider in the world who thinks that he's not going to be there.
No, because why would you miss game checks?
It's not even that. It's just like everyone knows they're just doing a little dance here. They're just playing a negotiating game. It's like they want our attention. They're putting out black suit Spider-Man memes.
Yeah.
But it's just like it all seems like noise. Like, why are you wasting our time? Just sign him tomorrow. That's what Matt said. He's going to be like, why did we wait all this time for this?
I said nobody has their owner more over a barrel than the Cowboys players with Jerry Jones. Like this great negotiator, this great billionaire, $10 billion the franchise is worth. And meanwhile, he's getting outfoxed by Dak Prescott for a second time.
Well, yes, but
done.
I mean, I don't know. He sort of, at the same time, it seems like he's building a really smart team. Like you say, there's all these Jerryisms, and yet here they are. Like they've won 36 games over the last 3 years.
Cowboy fans don't want to hear that because they haven't won in the playoffs. CeeLo is here with headlines for us. Good morning, CeeLo.
Good morning. Resetting one of the top stories we've covered this morning. An active starting QB ripping an active defensive coordinator and a former head coach. You don't get that too often, but here was Tua Tagovailoa on the Dan Le Batard show yesterday, comparing and contrasting his first NFL head coach, Brian Flores, with his current coach, Mike McDaniel. And you listen to the clip, it's pretty easy to tell which is which.
If you woke up every morning and I told you you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you are the best fit for this. You are accurate. You are the best whatever. You are this. You are that. How would it make you feel listening to one or the other?
And if that wasn't already crystal clear, Tua then took it to the next level in this one.
I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. You have a terrible person that's telling you things that you don't want to hear or that you probably shouldn't be hearing. You're going to start to believe that about yourself.
And that's where McDaniel came into the picture, working across these last two seasons to change that mindset, which Flores apparently created for Tua about himself.
This is why I doubt whether Brian Flores will ever coach again. A head coach. He'll be a defensive coordinator. He's super talented. I don't know. These quotes are pretty damning. And if Tua continues to progress, and they already paid him $200 million, and if his career goes on and they are a factor or perennial playoff contender, it's going to make Flores look even worse. And like you got to develop the quarterback as the head coach. That's your number one job. And he did not do that with Tua. So,
well, the only counter is, what if Flores is awesome with the Vikings this year and they do a surprise run? He would. I mean, he's only 43. He'd be kind of hot, and if Tua disappears, I think in time he could probably get over this. I mean, he's got a lot of years to still be a coach. That's the only reason I think that maybe it's not long term.
But Tua's also has a lot of years, so it's like
does he?
Well, maybe. Yeah, you're right. The concussion.
Who has more success moving forward, Brian Flores or Tua?
That's a good question.
I mean, that's the question. Like, Tua signed this deal, and he's super talented. He's super good. Like, I just don't see I don't know. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around him having this great long career. So I honestly would just stay in the moment if I was Tua. Of course, what he's saying is true. You don't want someone telling you stink all the time.
Yeah.
But why is he doing this? I don't even understand his motivation here.
I think he's feeling himself.
I think he's angry.
Yeah, he might be angry. He might feel like, ha, I finally had someone who believed in me, and I just got $200 million. I know we think that winning is everything, but I have to imagine getting that type of vote of confidence also is a measure of bleep you. Look at me. I just got $200 million.
Have you ever seen Patrick Mahomes talk trash about a former coach or anything, or talk trash about him?
He's got Lombardi trophies. No one would ever talk about him.
No, but I think that's his style too. I think he's super positive, focused on the moment. I think QB speak is a thing for a reason. Why bring up an old grudge? It doesn't help anybody.
Hold on though. I remember an amazing thing you guys once did at the Dan Patrick Show. There was a Super Bowl where all you did was not all you did, but one of the things you did was
the negative.
You read the negative scouting reports on guys coming out of college, and you could see it got their blood boiling. And this was all the guys who do the quarterback speak. This is the Drew Breeses, and this was the Russell Wilsons. And you guys, it was such a brilliant idea because it got guys talking, because they're reading negative scouting reports, and look at them now. Now they're accomplished guys. I think
Do you ever hear
it
Drew
brings
Brees?
out the worst, or it brings out something in these competitive dudes.
Drew Brees got basically pushed to the side by Marty Schottenheimer. You ever hear him say a bad word about him?
Nobody got upset at the damn. You could see his blood boiling with the
42. Yeah, but the point is like, I don't know. It's a trash a current coach. It just feels like counterproductive.
Yeah.
Like this probably is not going to end up great for Tua. I would think like he's basically saying I'm the man and you stink. And Brian Flores, let's hear what he says. I think he has a press conference coming up, so we'll see.
There we go.
I highly doubt he'll volley back. You probably get a nice,
Brian Flores, yeah,
neat little response. Say all that, wish him nothing but the best. That sort of
I
thing.
think Tua's doing a look at me now. I don't think he's doing a
you mean
suck and I'm great. I think he's just doing a look at me now. Like you didn't believe I was anything, and I'm here as a starting quarterback with a $200 million contract. That's what I think it was.
And this is
that's good or bad? What do you mean?
That's the motivation. It wasn't like
the timing of it. He just signed the contract recently.
Right,
there
right.
you
So
go, big, national radio interview or whatever we're
right,
calling
but like
that
you
now.
want your quarterback to be like, I haven't done anything in this league yet. I'm so hungry, I want to do everything.
Yeah, well,
like isn't that like the pretty much like Russell Wilson would never let this slip from the
you could
quarterback
say
robot.
Maybe that's the
Russell Wilson eventually did sell out Pete Carroll, but it took him 20 years.
and Sean Payton.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the pro and con of Mike McDaniel and the sort of the vibe or the culture that they have there now, where he's more the players' coach, so the players, but at the same time, you don't have that old school hardcore nature, and that's where it's less a knock about Tua, but like you get the sense Mike McDaniel, if he walked into that situation, whoever the heck the quarterback was, he would have found the positive and tried to build that guy
I think it's
up.
why I got hired.
Yeah.
By the way, Russ never really paid. He said the team asked me to take a pay cut, and I didn't want to do it.
He aired him out.
He aired out, which is really George Payton, not Sean Payton. I mean, it wasn't really about Payton. Like, I don't think there's nothing like this is very specifically saying Brian Flores told me I was terrible.
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson never really let anything like that
Called him
out.
a terrible person.
A terrible person.
Yeah. Russell Wilson's like, they asked me to take a pay cut, and I didn't want to do it.
I know we're short on time. Do you want the Tyreek Hill, Noah Lyles back and forth, or
save that because I've got a Tyreek Hill thing coming up next.
Okay.
But we've got to take a break. So,
all right.
Thank you. You've
Very
been
good.
awesome all morning long.
See you tomorrow.
Appreciate you. Great. Appreciate you so much. Okay, so this is another part of that Tua interview that's getting no attention, that should be, because to me it's a red flag for the Miami Dolphins. A big one. We'll get to that next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining.
Yesterday they were winning 5-0 and 6-4 and they lost, so Tua girl can beat it.
I didn't know Grimace was
I don't know if you want that out there.
Yesterday they were winning 5-0 and 6-4 and they lost, so Tua girl can beat it.
I didn't know Grimace was
I don't know if you want that out there.
Yesterday they were winning 5-0 and 6-4 and they lost, so Tua girl.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider, but see, me, it was a goat. If you want space, I hope you take your helmet off soon as you get up to Venus and choke. Even while sleeping, be thinking so
We're going away from the Kirk Cousins playlist for a moment.
My city Leia and I'm Obi-Wan, got a mission to pass, I just might be the hope. Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider, but see, me,
CeeDee Lamb posting Spider-Man memes on his Instagram. Okay, I've been teasing all show. I want to get to this. And because so much of the Tua Tagovailoa interview with Dan Le Batard was focused on Brian Flores, right? And Tua really taking aim at Flores and criticizing him. This was another part of the interview that I thought was a bit of a red flag here for the Miami Dolphins, Perloff, and I'm curious if you feel the same way. This was Tua being asked about how to split up the targets between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle?
Jalen Waddle.
Yep. And like how he has to manage that during the game.
We were, in a way, really trying to help Reek get to that 200 or 2,000 yard mark. Right. I mean, it wasn't like we were trying to hide that, right? That was pretty obvious, trying to feed him the ball and whatnot. We all have a good enough relationship off the field to where Jalen can come up to me at any point, even in the games and whatnot, and tell me like, bro, I'm not messing with this. I need some shine too, and I can go up to Mike and say, hey, we need some more plays for X, in this drive or throughout this game.
I was really kind of taken aback by that. And, we all went along with it last year, and Tyreek Hill was saying he wanted to get 2,000 yards. To put one person's individual stats or accomplishments before a team accomplishment to the point where your quarterback is managing this in the game, where he's going to the head coach to say, we've got to feed these egos and do that stuff. That to me doesn't bode well for Mike McDaniel. Tua should not have to be the one who's worried about wide receivers complaining. I get that wide receivers do complain. They all want the ball. They all think they're open. I know that. But that's where the head coach has to come in, and that it can't be about getting Tyreek Hill 2,000 yards. Are you winning games? Like, to me, that was a little red flag. Like, I get you want to be a player's coach, but to what extent where you are potentially causing any kind of friction to get someone a meaningless record?
Okay. What about the Jalen Waddle part, though? Did you have a problem with that? It's funny. The Tyreek Hill thing, I agree with you. That's probably a mistake. Yeah. The Jalen Waddle part made sense, though.
That's Mike McDaniel who should be managing Jalen Waddle's expectations for every game.
I don't know. I feel like Jalen Waddle, what I was hearing from Jalen Waddle was, hey, I want to be involved in the game too.
Right, and he got paid also.
For some reason, that part of it seemed somewhat healthy. I don't know why. The Tyreek Hill record thing, yes, I hear what you're saying. That's bad. Like, you should be all about the wins, all about the wins, all about the wins. But, like, picture this. It's week 18.
Right.
And you know your wide receiver needs 47 yards to get his bonus.
Yes, we do that. Right.
Yeah, that's fine, right? Nobody has a problem with that. That's great. I do think that there is something, I don't know. I understand what you're saying makes total sense, but there seems something kind of cool and team building about this.
So,
like, they're all on the same page.
I'm taking this not as a criticism of Tua, by the way. I'm putting this as a criticism of Mike McDaniel. I think if you really are serious about, like, winning a Super Bowl, what's the main thing here? Like, and listen, both things could be true. Yes, you want Tyreek Hill involved in the offense. You're ipso facto, you're going to win more games if he's doing well. But that should be on McDaniel to be managing the egos and massaging the egos however you're going to with these two wide receivers. It shouldn't fall on Tua during the game to have to go over to Mike McDaniel and say, hey, can you call some plays for Jalen Waddle? Like, that, this should be before. This is part of the game plan, right? Like, I don't think that's something that should be getting worked out during the game. Like, you don't know what the defense is going to show you, so, things change. You got to be adaptable. But that should not be on the quarterback. He should be only focused on executing the plays, not who's happy and who's sad. He can't worry about that kind of stuff.
Don't you think? No, I disagree with you. Wide receivers and quarterbacks, the more communication, the better. Like, everybody should be talking all the time. You don't think, like, somebody would come up to, like, Mahomes or say, hey, man, I'm open or something? That's like, well, come on, it's a wide receiver.
No, I know, but I think it should fall on the head coach. Like, that to me shouldn't be on Tua. Yeah, the person might appeal to Tua and say, hey, get me the ball. But that should not be like him then relaying that to Mike McDaniel. The coach has to have the final say on this, and the receivers have to just respect that, in my opinion.
Nah, I hear you, but that's not how wide receiver works. You need a wide receiver who wants to get the ball all the time. And that's why, like, wide receivers are pain in the necks, but you live with them because, like, you need the high ego, give me the ball guy. That's because you need that confidence. Something about Jalen Waddle walking up to Tua Tagovailoa and saying, hey, I need my shine too. That seems like, hey, like, those guys are tight. I mean, like, that's...
Yeah, but Tua went on to say, we didn't play this part of the clip, but he goes on to say, these are not easy conversations. He said, we can have them because we have a respect for each other, but they're not easy. Here's my other question. Yeah. Do you think that Tyreek Hill is going to do the 2,000-yard thing again, where he's going to put it out there?
There is... You can have 100 pages of Tyreek Hill plays, and that's not enough. That is one guy, get him the ball...
as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. If it was... Joey Scrub asking for the ball. This is Tyreek Hill. I've always thought, like, Tyreek Hill is generally underutilized. I mean, when he's healthy, last year he hurt his hamstring and everything changed.
Yep.
Last year was bad. Like, the last part of the season was, forget the defensive injuries, he just wasn't the same player. Look at his stats. There's a cliff. But, like, when he's healthy, like, man, he can't ask for the ball enough, right? But he could take a 5-yard pass and make it 80 yards like that.
I know, but...
There's no but. Get the ball to Tyreek Hill.
No, they are.
And to Waddle. He's awesome, too.
They are. Like, to say, it's one thing. I know Adrian Peterson used to put out this kind of stuff, too, about how many yards he wanted to rush for, and I think it's great to have goals. But as we're seeing from Tua here, like, the individual goal is making its way to the sideline during a game when it shouldn't. And it's either because Tyreek Hill wants the ball more, which is fine, or it's Jalen Waddle's not feeling the love. And, like, to me, I just don't want my quarterback. If I'm the head coach, I'm hearing that and I'm saying, I'm taking this off your plate. No one say another word to Tua. If you feel like you need the ball, come directly to me because I'm the one who's the play caller, by the way, and I have the final say. Don't bother a quarterback with this.
I don't know. I feel like quarterbacks do more than that. I mean, like, Tom Brady was kind of a de facto offensive coach, too. I think Tua can handle it. This is... Stay healthy on defense. Keep Tua upright. I'm okay.
There you go. Okay. Thank you, Ryan Botcher. Thanks, Nick Theodora. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Very, very much. Thank you to Chris Lopresti, Andrew Kaplan, everyone who got the lights back up and running. Ryan, engineering, Kaplan. Thank you. Thank you.